Don't start yet, Phil.
I will
Yeah.
call the meeting to order at 7:02. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded. The link is posted on the village website. Any agenda additions?
I did have the library appointment, came in yesterday, so we may as well get that done on this meeting. It's
9/7.
Yeah, 9/7. And just a agenda change, the guest Lori Bach will not attend tonight's meeting. She will attend the June meeting.
Okay. Somebody want to move to adopt the agenda as amended?
I'll adopt the agenda as amended.
All in favor? Carried. Minutes, or sorry, Public Works and Office reports.
Okay. So it seems like we were just here not too long ago, but yeah. Attended quite a few meetings, Wheatland and Hospice Society, WRC meeting at the county, the dam workshop I attended all day in Airdrie. Wheatland Housing Management Board meeting I attended virtually, and then stayed in on the meeting, and then they went in camera, so then I had to leave. Fixing the loadout issues so that the farmers can get the water. Development permit issued for notice of decision, issued for the new build and the subdivision. We've been working on a drought management plan with WRC, Rocky Ford, and what's the name of the company? Daniel's company. Sorry, don't, yeah. And I'm slightly complaints auction, all still in the process. Public Works report. I am just reporting what he's done. He was actually busy today and didn't have a chance to give me a report, but the ball diamonds were cleaned up with the Ag Society, Public Works. Several dead trees were taken down before the windstorm, so probably a good thing. Trimming trees, bushes at the campground. They're cleaning up between the shop to swap the buildings, so they're working on that. And then today they took the Centennial sign before it fell down. It is in the shop, and we're just going to make the brackets and then reinforce it and put it back up again. So that's it for report.
Okay, any questions? Somebody want to move to adopt Public Works and Office monthly report as presented? Adam,
Okay.
all in favor? Carried. Minutes, regular minutes from April 10th, regular meeting. Any questions? We'd like to move to adopt the regular minutes from April 10th.
I can make a motion to adopt.
Any other questions or conversations on that? All in favor? Carried. Special meeting minutes, April 24th. 24.
That was for the, that was a Palliser, correct?
Yes, that was Palliser
On budget.
and budget.
And budget. For the Palliser, we're still gonna have review over that before it goes to first reading, or
First reading is tonight.
the first readings tonight?
Yes,
Okay.
then you go to public hearing. The next
That's,
meeting.
okay, yeah.
Any other questions?
I just seen in the minutes that there was a motion to transfer $14,000 from the office building reserve to the operating budget. Why is that?
So we had put money away to redo this roof. And it's been in there 5 years. We redid the roof and had extra money, and it's just sitting there. So we brought it back out and put it back into our budget because of the fact that it's already repair dollars, and we had the roof redone for how much less than we planned?
Oh, it was, they quoted 35 and then we did it ourselves, so it was like,
It wasn't as bad as it
Yeah.
was, we were told.
Yeah.
So we put all this money away and we didn't need to, eh?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, my concern or my question is that, I mean, that's like a capital or R&M type budget. We talked about lights and in here, we talked about other improvements. So just, moving it from capital to operating budget, just,
no, it's a restricted reserve budget. So council can move funds from one account to the other or from one reserve to another, but they just have to do it in a motion.
And we have got the money for the lights still.
Yeah, I'm just,
Yeah, no, I
I'm just
just
saying, moving money from operating and maintenance to operating budget. It's just. It's an allocation of resources that,
but it's not, like Yvette just explained, that's not an operating, or it's not a capital. Just
It's
say it again,
restricted
it's
reserve.
restricted reserve is the word I was
That
looking
council
for,
has
so we
specifically put
can,
aside
yeah,
for a
so
roof.
we can do it.
I'm not saying we
No,
can't do it, I'm
yeah.
just saying, obviously, something I wouldn't do.
Okay. Anything else? We want to move to adopt special meeting minutes.
On that, for 20 minutes.
All in favor? Carried. Unfinished business, lot sales.
Okay, so in your package, we have provided you a list of the lots that are there. The two that are kind of dark grayed out are lots that were sold prior to and the lot that just sold. We worked on this and we came up with a calculation of basically from the lot that was just sold and rounded it off to about 414 a square foot and came up with these prices. Between the real estate and the assessor, this is kind of working with both of them, but it gives a good range that we can list the price and still have a little bit of wiggle room that we can come down in price for the market value.
Okay.
So if you see the second to right-hand column, the new set market value, we would not be able to go lower than that. And then we have the listing price, which is slightly above what the real estate wanted. But I think with that little bit of room that we can work with, without having to come to council meeting all the time, we can then determine if somebody makes an offer for 37,000 on lot number 18 sold, right?
Okay. So since we're talking about this right now, I'm gonna ask Mike, so I asked Yvette, like we talked about basements, foundations last meeting. What's the difference between the foundation and pilings?
Well, a foundation typically involves a strip footing and then a wall. The wall can be
Okay.
concrete or wood, and pilings is typically a circular cement
Yeah,
tube.
yeah, no, yeah, I just didn't know if there was. Cause like I was sitting there thinking after we left that last meeting, you know, we talked about taking it out so we didn't have to put a basement in with the price of concrete, you know, if that helps, cause we've lost a couple of sales because of basements. And I know the reason they wouldn't let trailers in anymore is because they sit on a piling. So I'm sitting there thinking about it and I'm thinking, well, you can move a house off a basement just as easy as you can move a modular home off of pilings. So I just didn't, you know, I just was thinking, what's the difference between having pilings or foundation, or it's up to, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't know, you know, like if somebody wanted to come in and put a modular home that was square footage, but they wanted to put it on pilings, we don't allow that right at the moment, do we?
No.
So I just didn't know why we didn't, and I think the reason is so because people can move their home off it. And I'm thinking, well, you can move your home off of anything you put it on, if you really want it, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that would be the reason. Like as soon as you put pilings in, you gotta do skirting, and then the main risk is that you freeze your pipes in the winter time, right? Your water pipes.
Yes.
So that would be why you want your water, your sewer all come in below.
Yeah, it's in a trailer.
Below 4 feet, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, they don't have to have a basement, I don't think, in our bylaws. They could have a 4-foot frost wall on a strip footing.
Actually, they did have to have a basement in.
Yeah.
We changed that last week. We took that was.
In our land use, in our last meeting.
Right, but what I'm saying is you'd have to define a basement then, because a 4-foot frost wall on a strip footing is a basement.
Yeah.
It's just not a full height basement.
Yeah,
It would be a crawl space basement.
It's a crawl space basement. Exactly.
So you could do that. But yeah, like just to put some context, like that subdivision was put in there before my time on council, like I think 2 terms or whatever before I got here. And the discussion that we had, well, this is way back, so take it with a grain of salt as how much I'm actually remembering it right. But I think the reason, like for example, the discussion was The reason why they had basements in there was their intention was to make it to where the quality of home that was being put into those lots and then to other lots in the village would be of a higher quality than what we find as far as in that, not time frame, a mobile home
Mhm.
that they didn't want.
Yeah.
Our nice new lots to have mobile homes on them that would decrease the property value of the people that were putting a full built basement home. And so that was, I think, from my interpretation, that was the reason, the intent behind having a basement is you're increasing the value of the home that you're putting in. Right now, that increasing the value of the home that we're putting in is limiting some of the people that would move to standard and put a home there. The question, I guess, then is like with not to come up with our land use bylaw, right? Because the question is like, how much do you want to regulate what people put on their lot, and
Mhm.
how much do you protect neighbors from neighbors? But is
Yeah,
that
no,
was
I
the
just
reasoning
kind of
behind
wanted,
it
because I knew
way
Mike
back
was
when.
cement, so that's why I wanted to ask Mike, so,
Yeah,
okay, well, that answered my question.
So there was a couple notes on this sheet that we provided, to reduce the required house size. Again, like you talked, the basement, eliminate the basement requirement or change.
Yeah.
And also, like when you're dealing with the real estate, they'll want to, if nothing's moving in 3 months' time, they'll want to reduce the asking price again. And with the way we're set up here, I think we can go ahead and reduce because we can't go lower than our market value.
Mhm. No,
So
okay,
When you say we can't go lower than the market value, is that based on something?
the market value right now is a number that's coming between the real estate and the assessor, right? So we are not allowed to sell anything below market value.
Is that?
Otherwise than that, it has to go to public hearing.
Oh,
yeah, it's not that we can't, but we
Yeah.
public hearing.
That's right.
We can,
But the way it sits right now, every lot we would have, if we sold, would have to go to public hearing. Because they're all listed at 48,000 right
Mhm.
now.
okay. Any other questions on that information?
Well, if council would approve the new market value, then
Okay.
we can proceed with the real estate, because
Okay.
we're still in the real estate stages.
Well,
So-
I don't have a problem. I would like to see some lots sold and start getting some tax revenue, and, they've been, what year did we build that?
Those lots,
Yeah.
2007 or 8.
no,
Yeah.
2009 or 10, because we built in 2007 or 8.
Let's go
When you
14
didn't have the
years.
opportunity to
Oh, okay.
purchase a new lot, we had to purchase a new.
It's time to sell, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we as council accept the new market value. And that we are therefore able to reduce the price down to that market value. Either through every 3 months or through negotiating.
Perfect. All in favor? Carried. Connect agreement.
Okay, so we did the Schedule F. 1 and 2.
This one was probably.
Oh, it was in the package.
Yeah.
I have it up here.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
And again, we still have the option, if ever they were to try to sell out to a bigger company, TELUS or whatever, we have first option to buy out. And again, that number 2 is our buyout option.
Should we not negotiate that to, our buyout option would be less our unrecovered capital investment?
This is what we had agreed upon at the first agreement that we had with them. So it is the number of subscribers times revenue times 18 months. So-
Yeah, but the first agreement also wouldn't have had us having any profits right now. So something has changed in their world, correct?
The first agreement did guarantee us 10% of profits. And so this schedule did not have that 10% in it. It had the company sale in it. So we are not amending the whole service agreement, just the schedules to now include getting the profit.
I thought it was 10% of gross profits after there was 100 people or something.
100 people was the estimated number required to turn a profit, but they're turning a profit sooner.
Still doesn't answer the question is, do we want to negotiate the sales price? Because if they've reached profit sooner, the 100 subscribers, there's.
Well, that's an example. I'm reading that as an exemplar.
Yeah,
So like the formula would be the number of subscribers. So if you had 50 subscribers, it would be 50 times revenue
That's-
of what like the revenue is the gross revenue that they're pulling in. So, whatever the packages that are being sold to those 50 subscribers
Yeah.
times 18 months.
Yeah.
So it's just it's essentially what their revenue would be for the number of subscribers for 18 months. And that's the payment to buy out would have to be. Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it says. So what you're purchasing is then basically a little bit of hardware and that subscription. Is that correct?
and all the radios.
The network and all
The
assets
network, yeah.
related to the network.
So everything that's running currently would be handed over to the village.
So I mean, that value of that equipment might be zero if it's fully depreciated, right?
Oh, it could be, yeah.
Mhm.
So that value might be inflated because that might have been at the beginning of an investment cycle, where at this point in time, that might actually be a liability. Because that equipment might have reached its serviceable life.
Yeah, it's got a life expectancy of, what was it?
I don't know, but every
Yeah.
time currently when, as far as the routers and stuff go, when something is upgraded, then he upgrades it.
Yeah.
Because he's keeping the system running. It doesn't give him a profit if he lets it go defunct, right? The 8992, I should probably, your questions inform me that I should take that out in the future. The 8992 is there because the above average internet package was 8992. And that's where that number came from to give us an average example of how the formula would work. But the packages range from $59.95 to $130 something $95. So that's why that number's in there. It is completely a scenario just to demonstrate how the number works.
Yeah, and I guess the thing is in the case, let's say that Connect runs in the village for years and years and years. And at the end of that life cycle, they are looking to divest. This isn't saying that we would even be interested in purchasing at that time.
No.
We would, like it says, if the village is unable to purchase the network and all assets related to the network after 12 months, Connect will then find a buyer that will honor all agreements in place between Connect and the village. So there is a little bit of security and safety in that as it's written. But like I see what you're saying, like if this is set up to, like if Connect was getting out of the business, on year 2, that's the price. If they're getting out of business on year 25 with the same equipment that's now 25 years old. So I don't know what tech if you can even do that. But yeah, it's still the same price. It's the same kind of formula and price.
And just as a point of information, they would not be able to duck out after 2 years because it says they can't.
Yeah,
the first 5
it's
years.
a first 5 years.
But this was put in there because we didn't want to have the same situation that other internet carriers do where they come in, they pull out, and then we're left with no internet. So this was a guarantee that Standard would have internet coverage should they decide to sell or fold for any reason. And then we would have the opportunity to make it run even without them here.
But we're not obligated to ensure that there's internet, right? Like, because anyone can just get Starlink or Telus as a private.
This is just
private
more
business.
affordable for people, right? $59 a month.
And reliable.
But you're right. I mean, we don't have to do this,
No.
right? We don't have to buy that. If he comes up and says, I'm out, and we don't, if he wants to sell it to Telus, we might just be done.
And when this was started, it was before Starlink was set up, and reliable to the point and everything else. So still there was very
That
strong
you
internet.
don't have to.
Yeah, we're not obligated.
Yeah. The reason why this was like, again, why this kind of went through to fruition the time before is it was because it was prior to Starlink, prior to XploreNet updating their services, and prior to TELUS doing anything to update their services. So all of our internet providers back at like actually at the start of like even COVID or whatever like that were horrible. And so like, you would have times where you couldn't even stream one thing in a person's house because there were so many people on the network here that it was unusable. And so that time, the reason why we went to these guys is because the other major telecommunications companies had no interest in the 400 people that live here. It was a way to try and say, hey, we have, we have fiber in the ground. No one's using it. Why don't we get tech that we could use it and allow, the residents of Standard to have an affordable, useful internet? And then so we've partnered with them, used some of the CRISP money to be able to get this off the ground, and it's been useful. But moving forward in the future, when other businesses and and organizations can provide that same internet to our residents without us needing to be in the picture, have at her.
Yeah. So you do know what CRISP funding is? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I just wasn't sure. I wanted to ask. Yeah, that's why we used it, because of the stipulations that we had to basically do something for the community. So that's kind of why we went where we went with it. So
Yeah. And things are changing so fast that this may be viable for quite some time, or
might not be.
it might be supplanted with something better and cheaper and faster.
I've been happy with mine, so
Yeah.
I'm just hoping to get TV in here soon.
It's coming real quick.
Good. Any other conversation on that? So do you want to move to change service plan, remove Schedule F and replace Connect Mobility to pay the village 10% of gross internet?
I would move that we change the Schedule F service plan as the one that's presented above.
All in favor? Carried. Thanks. Growth plan.
Okay, so after the meeting that we had with the county, Rockyford Standard, this is in your package, this is a little with everybody
Nice.
covered. This is the plan that is preference to all municipalities.
This has been reviewed by all municipalities.
The CAOs, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, unless there's an extreme case where we have to restrict watering.
So basically, when it comes down to emergency,
Yeah. And they're still also waiting for WID to give them some direction too on how much water there will be for them to use. And so this is just the plan.
It looks fairly straight.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the columns and seeing the progression for each one.
So we would put this out in the next newsletter just to get everybody on board.
I don't see any issues with it. Anybody?
No.
Look good?
Logical progressions.
So just motion to accept
Motion to
the
accept this information.
plan, yeah. As presented.
I'll move. All in favor? Carried. Budget miscellaneous, 90-day demand.
Yeah, so the one account we're going to be closing, that's the 90-day demand, that was the water plant reserves. So we're going to actually close and transfer that money back to the municipal account. But it takes 90 days, so we have to have a motion.
Okay.
To close that
Yeah,
account and then transfer the funds.
yeah, back to the municipal
It's,
operating.
it's
account.
moving from where to where, sorry?
Is moving from the 90-day demand account to the municipal operating account. A municipal account.
Why was it in the 90-day demand?
It was put there for the water plants, the sale of the water plant, and then we've just been, as money's been needed, they just pull it out. So this is the remainder of the money that's there. It's gonna be maybe 62,000 by the time it's done its interest and stuff. It's a high interest savings account, so does well there, but
So why are we moving it up?
it's funds that is needed in the budget, so.
And the reason why I'm the one that brought it up is because the village ratepayers paid for that water plant. So we've already nailed them once for that. And then we sold the water plant and we just socked that money away, right? So I brought it up and I think we should put it back into, take it out of just sitting there and put it back into operating, because we're hurting to try to get down in our budget or in our taxes rate per ratepayer. And my reasoning is they've already paid this money once to build that plant. And now we're gonna just keep it and hoard it instead of putting it back out right into operating. So then we're gonna nail them more. So this just kind of brought us back a little bit more even on our budget, balancing our budget.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's just a question, like,
Yeah.
$62,000 would go to infrastructure, capital projects should go to anywhere we want to allocate it, so. Is moving capital into an operating budget optimal?
It's not capital funds, though.
It's two different things.
Capital referring to money.
Okay.
Moving monies into
Yeah.
on operating.
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah. We use capital, when we use capital, we're using grant money is where we use our capital. It comes from grants. We usually don't use operating money.
Right, but a lot of grants don't cover 100%, right?
Well, typically we have in the past always used grant money, and we will stockpile it for a few years, do a project, then stockpile again, and then do the project. So we
Right,
typically don't use operating money to pay for projects.
I think the last time we had a project that we did not use grant money for is the subdivision over there. Like every time that we've had it here, we've been fortunate enough to be able to find the grant monies, stockpile grant money to be able to do all the projects that we've done in town without having to raise it through taxation.
Mhm.
So
So we,
fortunate.
is there a capital budget for capital projects, like, i.e. the two roads that are,
That's
Mhm.
capital
For new
grant money
projects?
coming into
Yeah.
this year.
and it's allocated already?
No. We haven't allocated because you haven't approved any projects. You haven't gotten any,
But we gotta wait for costs
MPE,
and
yeah.
MPE to give us costs.
Yeah.
Do we know how much money we have, or do we have to apply for the grant after?
no, we know how much money it is. It was, in one of your, packages that was given to you there. Uh, It's not part of this package.
In tonight's meeting,
No, it was a couple meetings
like in
ago.
January or February.
No, just recently. It was projected. Yeah, we've given it the last meeting or the meeting before.
March or April then.
Yeah.
Was it given separately or in the budget?
It might have been given separately at the meeting because it was something I
Like
I
in
gave a
the-
projection of what the funds that were coming in this year and
Do you know which grant it was? It wasn't the CCBF, was it? What is CCBF?
Oh,
yeah,
that's the new acronym for it.
yes.
Building Fund,
Oh,
LCC Building Fund, I think. Where is that?
That's in the, on side by side, the revenue column.
I'll go.
Is that updated? Bring that up.
Maybe that wasn't it then.
I see it.
Oh, that's last year's. Yeah. That number you're looking at, that was last year's amount.
Under the-
Which line is it on?
The one he's looking at is in revenue. It's in the administration section, but that's just not because it's administrative money. It's just in that block. And it's the first revenue number says provincial grant CCBF.
Okay.
That too small?
Yeah, I can't read it.
Oh, go.
That you said was last year's?
Yes. All of these numbers are last year's actuals.
Okay, no, I'm seeing it. Yeah.
Okay.
Last year's
This was as of March 31st. We were getting from LGFF
Oh,
$198,141.
maybe
Plus,
that's,
we had MSI carryover from 2023 of $6,586.
that's the new acronym, LGFF. That's the new.
LGFF.
That's what we stand for now.
I knew when we got the email.
Okay, never mind. I read it, but I can't remember.
Grant funding
Local government
framework.
Yeah.
fiscal framework
There you go.
funding.
That's it.
Yes.
So 200,000. Basically.
Yes. And again, you can use future LGFF funds to pay for projects today. You just use it out of your operating and then it gets paid back like we did in the last one.
So do we know when, have you talked to MPE then?
MPE was working on a
Okay.
couple of different, 3 different scenarios that I
Okay.
had presented him, so.
So they were looking at, correct me if I'm wrong, that the plan, which was like the annualized plan for repair, maintenance and cleaning up of the existing infrastructure. And then were they looking at the Frederick extension and then the industrial
Yes.
park road as well?
No, the industrial park is not part of our capital right now because industrial park is as funds become available, we work on that project, right? So so far we've used grant money on that one. That was specifically allocated for that. So the 3 that he's working on is Frederick, the Broadway, phase 2 of the Broadway, and then there's the extension to Frederick, and then First Street from Frederick, Elsnore down to Christian. So there was a couple of,
The AGT, not the AGT building. Yeah. the
This one.
AGT road.
This one right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, that's a rough section.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
This
and
is
there's that's just
Yeah,
paving there.
It's just paving,
Just
there's
paving.
no infrastructure
No
underneath the
infrastructure.
roads. And so we would go from here all the way to here.
Yeah.
That's
All
what he's
Yeah. So he's gonna,
mapping.
yeah. And then there's just the paving road and sidewalk on the other side.
That was this.
That,
Has there been any increase for more lots in the industrial park? I know at one point in time, a current landowner there had wanted to purchase more.
yeah, that has, I mean, the interest was there, but it's, we have a list. Again, this is the same as what happened with the residential subdivision. You had a list and then it takes too long to do subdivision. It was a year just to do the subdivision for the industrial park by the time you survey and everything gets done and registration, and it's a long time.
So we don't have any waiting list to come into these lots.
Not now,
Okay.
probably not. Maybe 1 or 2.
Have we can we speak to the realtor and see what his thoughts are on the value of that land?
Again, once we get the road done, we're not ready for any sales until we do the road grading. So And then you can start selling lots.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know what the cost would be to grade that road.
Not at present. I was given an estimate of 100,000.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that's just to get it to the point where we can sell lots. So that's the easement, the road access, ditches.
okay, before we get too far here, we
Yeah.
gotta go back to the 90-day demand.
Yeah.
Before I forget.
Yeah.
We wanna make that motion to close that account.
I'll make the motion to close and transfer the 90-day demand from the account to our municipal operating account.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Carried. Opposed? One opposed. Trade-in. This is small tractor.
Okay,
Okay.
so these are the quotes that James obtained. You do have sitting in your small tractor reserves. Sorry, messed up on the paperwork here. 5,500. So there's a trade-in value. Is higher on one than the other. The John Deere doesn't come with the extended warranty. And there's a few other parts that are required with it. He has it all cleaned up and ready to go, but if there's gonna be no trade-in this year, then he'll get it ready to start mowing and stuff.
We don't really have the money this year, do we? But the only thing is that trade-in's gonna go down.
Yeah.
And if we start having the problems that we've been having with that
Just
tractor or that mower,
that one seal or whatever.
well, it just keeps blowing hydraulic hoses and they can't figure out why. It just keeps costing us money. How old are them mowers?
2017 or 18, I believe. You're 2017, I think. I want to say.
5
does it
years.
have-
Well, all I'm gonna say is I'm not a Kubota fan because I have a Kubota mechanic tell me, do not buy a Kubota lawnmower. They're junk.
Because it
But-
would, but that was with a turbo.
No, he
We
said
don't
all
have
of them
any.
are, he said they're all junk. So, but at that difference in price and that difference in
Yeah.
trade-in,
You also do have other, you do have reserves for your tractor and sorry, my mouth is gone dry. The garbage truck. You've been
So-
putting money away for the garbage truck, which should never have to be replaced in the near future anyway.
how much do we have in the garbage truck fund?
10,000.
How much do we have in the big tractor?
Large tractor is 30,000.
So what kind of condition is I know the garbage truck is gonna be fine for. Doesn't get, how many miles do we have on that garbage truck?
Very little.
Very little.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
No, I mean, but it
go
doesn't
anywhere.
hardly do anything, right?
No.
What's you guys' thoughts?
How much was the hydraulic repair?
When
We've changed pumps. I mean, the hoses are nothing. But I mean,
It's
It's-
a time in the
the
mechanic.
only thing that scares me too is so you put a summer student on a mower and you put him down a memory lane and he doesn't notice that hose blows. He's gonna pack up a lot of other stuff, right? Cause I've watched a trail of hydraulic oil come out of the ditch and drive all the way down the highway, past the school to the shop. So there couldn't have been very much. And instead of stopping it, towing it back, right? I'm just scared, I don't know, I'm scared it's gonna cost us more than a hydraulic hose. That starts getting into accounts, right?
Well, I think the perpetual repairs will nickel and dime us to death.
Well, how many times last year did we, do you remember?
No.
And is it the same mower that's doing that? Do you know off chance?
Couldn't tell you, because, yeah, we just started tracking everything now.
Oh, Brian never kept track of
He
it.
did, but it's all in his books next door, like over at the
So
shop.
can we
right?
just
But-
table this and find out that information?
Okay,
Because if we have one more that's not doing it, one more that is
Okay.
doing it, then I'm gonna suggest we get rid of that mower that is. Cause I don't wanna get rid of the wrong one.
well, there's one, the one that you're talking about getting rid of is the one without the cab. Right?
That is the one that was doing it.
I couldn't tell you.
I'm pretty sure it was now that I'm thinking about it, but just double check get James to look through the books.
Okay,
And did you get a number of times we've had to replace? And what we've had to replace on it? Cause I know they thought it was a pressure relief in the pump that wasn't bypassing. And it would blow that hose, but I don't know what they did. Yeah, just get some more information. I think we can just table that, so we know. And then I think we can think about where to transfer. I think it's gonna come out of the garbage truck fund personally. I'd like to know actually when you're getting information, how many miles it's got on the garbage truck.
okay.
The large tractor for 30K, what does the large tractor use for lot? It's got the big
Snow
mower,
removal.
snow removal and the big mower, right?
Yeah, and that's why I don't know if I really wanna take out of there, because it gets used on a heavy winter, it's used a lot. And we have had a transmission problem with it, but that was, I think, somebody put it in park when it's still moving
Wow.
and sheared off the park gear.
Mhm.
So it no longer has a park gear in it because it was going to be. Which I remember a lot. Put a park gear in it because they have to split it and split the tractor and everything, so. Because Brian started finding teeth. So. I don't really want to take out of that fund because I kind of think we're gonna have to replace it down the road. The garbage truck, like I'm gonna say. How old was Old Stinky?
Well,
It
very-
was 30 years old,
Is it still being used?
Old Stinky, and it could be, yeah. I don't know for
Oh,
sure.
yeah, we still use it in Missouri.
Cause they drive around town, go to the dump once a week, so, okay, we'll get that in from, go ahead.
I guess they're looking at it, because sometimes we look at it and say, well, we'll never replace it, right? But, we have 10,000 in there. But, if the cost to replace it eventually down the road is a large number, because it's a big truck. Sometimes I'm hesitant to pull from it, because sometimes it's really nice to build it up in a clear small, like little bit by little bit, instead of having to find some big lump sum of money down the road. Now, I guess here's the thing is, but at the same time, money's sitting there for something that's not going to be used. But this is a tractor that's going to cost us money to repair and repair and repair. And then it is more prudent to replace. As long as we don't as long as we don't take money out and don't have an intention or a plan to put it back in
Back.
and replenish it. That's the concern that I have.
I think though that this one reserve should be for large equipment
Instead of
purchases.
having all these
Yeah,
different reserves.
Because now you're debating whether, so if it's this that you need, then that's what we need to replace, and then we build it up again from there. So then the next product that comes along that we need, well, then we have to work from there, right? So if the garbage
instead of
truck was to
having
go tomorrow and we have to replace it, well, it's
Instead of having
$80,000.
3 reserves,
Yeah,
we go down to 1 reserve on equipment.
for large.
So we'd have 60,000 sitting there instead of
Well,
30 here and 10
Yeah.
here. And
That's the way I'm looking.
so what's the
at it, but-
difference, sorry, between what we have in our small tractor account and the difference? So we have how much in the small tractor account?
5,000, just give me a second. 5,500. 30,000 into the large and 10,000 is in the garbage truck.
So 45
So
altogether.
what all information are you gonna get from James? Which tractor was doing it?
Yeah.
How much it's been doing it?
Yeah. And we can pull the receipts
And
from
what
here
are-
for
yeah,
how much
okay.
it costs and
And
stuff
what
like that,
are-
so.
Mileages on that
Yeah.
garbage truck? Okay.
Just while you're at it, maybe if there's hour meters on the equipment.
Yeah, there should be.
And my only concern is whether we're gonna be perpetually repairing a asset that's gonna depreciate. Right, and we're just sinking money into something that eventually we're gonna have to replace anyways.
I will move we table that to the next meeting.
Okay,
All in favor? Carried. So now the reports. Any questions on the financials? Somebody want to adopt them or is there? Might still let them. Any questions?
No, just on the financial reporting, do we report relative to budget, like where we are? So we're at, halfway through Q2, this was our budget, these were,
Your BVR will show that as soon as we put in all the budget numbers that were approved here, and the next meeting, you should see that variance.
Okay.
So that is in the BVR.
so is this side by side that I have, is this the budget that was approved? This was the newest one I could find on the drive.
Yes, if it's the one on the drive is the one we approved, right?
Just look at it.
As soon as you bring it up.
This is April 24th. This would be the most That's where you got it, and this is where it's.
I'm not sure. That's it. Can you expand that out?
Oh, it looks like my check marks still. I took all those off for the budget presentation. Oh. Let me just
scroll down to the bottom numbers and I'll tell you.
Yeah, I had a cleaned up version for our budget meeting. So this might be, is that right?
The one I have here, 613,095.62.
All right, so it's a little bit off.
Yeah, that was to do with that, yeah, that's something that printed me out for. Oops, it meeting, yeah.
Okay, I'll go to the meeting then. Where did you find yours?
It was at the.
I put it in so many places that sometimes one place to update gets missed.
No, we didn't have a meeting package for the special meeting. It was,
I'll put it on right now.
yeah, okay.
I don't know why it's not.
That's the one.
You're good if we approve the motion on this then, you're just waiting for info?
On which?
Oh,
The
On our
financials?
financial report.
Yeah, financials, I haven't done it.
So we want to move the financials.
I'll make a motion to accept.
All in favor? Carried, and then we'll move the minute, so.
yeah, what number do you have at the bottom?
Well,
So was this budget approved?
Yeah. Yeah, you wrote 2,000 on that one, so
that's the wrong one.
Yeah.
Okay,
the one that we approved is the one you signed here.
so she's printing
Yeah.
it, but we can move on to correspondence.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Anything in there that's,
Is this budget gonna be made public? Because last meeting wasn't a public meeting, right?
no. Yeah, it'd be,
The budget is the financials, the tax bylaw is made public, and that shows what were revenues and expenses.
Is something like this, so the side by side, so
No, people don't see the side by side. That's for councils. They see the financial statements from the year before that the auditors present to us to show to the public.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, it's too
These
bad
are
I couldn't be
typical.
there, because there's some things that like are
we didn't spend a
very.
dollar more than last year's budget.
Yeah, I know, but it's where they're being spent, right? So on admin, like admin wages and salaries is a year-over-year budget increase of 9%, which is a lot for the times we're in right now. And then what I had a question, in advertising and printing is up from a budget of 1560 to 2360, so it's $1,000.
so can I stop this?
Sure.
Because the budget was done, so can I just ask it, can you come down and just sit down and talk to her
23.
in the office?
I can do that.
Okay, because then you can ask as many, you know what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Somebody want to move to adopt, accept correspondence as info? Adam?
I will.
Well, I thought you put your hand up.
I did not put my
Oh,
hand up.
sorry.
Give me just a second to look through the package. Was there anything that was?
No, just RCMP crime stats, the county reports are in there.
Yeah, I saw the crime stats and it was just, okay, that's information.
And most of it I saw was
And
just
there was just the
information.
hospice society.
Library annual report.
Yeah, there's nothing that I just wanted to ask, administration if there was anything that was
No,
pertinent. Like a lot of it was just sort of due diligence reporting back of information that needs to be reported. So I'll make that motion that we accept the correspondence that's received as information.
All in favor? Carried. New business declaration of seniors week.
June 3rd to the 9th. You only do a few a year, and it's the library reading week, the seniors.
And that would have been in the package.
Somebody like to move to declare
I will move to declare June 3rd to the 9th, 2024, Seniors Week in the Village of Stanton.
All in favor? Carried. 9.2, response letter.
So yeah, you'd asked us to send a letter to Deputy Premier of Alberta, or the Premier, about the policing, and this was the response back. So they do have concerns. They feel that Alberta is not adequately staffed. Currently 21.6% understaffed across RCMP detachments.
Did you guys all read that?
Yep.
Good, good.
So people were able to get on.
The people be on the live.
We want to move to accept the letter from Minister Ellis.
I'll make the motion to accept the letter from Minister Ellis as correspondence.
All in favor? Carried. 9.3, industrial dumping.
Yeah, so James has reported that somebody is dumping down the industrial park, and usually we don't have a problem with it, except for we would like them to notify us ahead of time. Because if they're, well, there was a whole bunch of branches and stuff which is not permitted, so he's got a no dumping sign down there now. But you know, clean fill, clay and stuff like that can go, but they need to let us know in advance so that we can tell them where to dump, because with the project that's going on, we've already started sorting some piles down there.
It's gonna cost us money to move their garbage.
Yeah, so, but typically clean fill or the clay can go down there, because probably you might have some stuff coming from, you know, somebody digging in their basement here, but we will direct them where to put it, right? So just so you're aware, but we will be, he did put up some no dumping signs down there. And the only thing I wanted to, there is a pile of some cement down there. I'm not sure where it came from, but we don't want to be taking on cement or pavement anymore, correct? Okay. So that specifically I will start to.
No, because it's gonna cost us to get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we don't have any place to really stockpile it. So.
Do we have any alternatives we can present with anybody if they?
Well, they have to take it down to Drum, right? So
Does Drum can take it?
Drum takes it, but.
Branches all go out here. Branches, trees, all that can go out
Yeah,
here, but anything else.
branches, yeah.
Yeah, I know when I was talking with the gentleman at the landfill, he had said that he had went down on Friday morning or something, and somebody had dumped a bunch of garbage in front of the gate because it wasn't open.
Yep.
They had just dumped it and left, so he had to clean all that up. He said it was about a bunch of branches and clippings and wood and everything as well, so.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, too bad, like.
We have to put a big chain up or something. I don't know. Okay, anyway, just so you're aware.
Okay. 9.4, property tax bylaw.
Okay, so this is done every year. So all these numbers come from the budget that we approved. And the mill rates are on the back. The assessments, that comes all from the assessor, between the assessor and the assessments on the Wheatland housing. School requisition,
Yes.
designated industrial properties.
What's machinery and equipment? Okay.
M&E, that goes towards Agrium is mostly the only one that does M&E here.
Any other questions?
No, so we need to do first, second,
Move to-
third.
Give first reading. I'll move to do first reading. All in favor? Carried. Second reading.
I'll make a motion to second.
All in favor? Carried. Move to introduce third.
I can move to introduce third reading.
All in favor?
No.
Unanimously.
What's that?
Oh,
Yeah, so all in favor? Are you in
Of
favor
introducing
of
third
third,
reading.
introducing third?
Not really. No, I'm gonna vote against it.
Okay, well, this, we can't really do anything with this then. Land use bylaw.
Can we get a motion to table the property tax bylaw to the next
Oh.
meeting?
I'll make a motion to table the tax bylaw until the next meeting.
All in favor? Carried.
Sorry.
Land use bylaw.
Okay. So I had sent you out in the email with your packages and stuff, the timeline and everything. So tonight at first reading. Tracy had put together an RFD.
Mhm.
The notice of the public hearing, which will go out for 2 weeks prior to the public hearing in the newspaper, which will be at the next regular council meeting, so June. Let's see, June. Well, June 12th will be the public hearing.
We should also note that as soon as we get the public hearing out, then the land use bylaw is available to anyone
Yes.
who wants it, and put it out, makes it publicly available.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
So
Somebody want to move to give first reading?
Move to give first reading.
okay.
All in favor? Carried. Standard Rural Fire Association formal request.
Okay, so the agreement came back. There was a little technical error, not technical, but it was just in the wording. And they are requesting a formal request from the council in regards to this letter. Yeah.
They're not happy in that letter, or that individual isn't, but that's from their department, so. That's.
And it was
unfortunate.
discussed at the meeting, though, that that any large capital funds would be made in writing and that would just be a typical agreement.
Well, can I,
We had discussed it at the meeting, but anyway, would you like to?
well, if I can
Yeah.
speak to it?
Yes.
So I acknowledge the error that she points out. When I got word of this letter, I went back and looked at the track of emails to see what the story was. So the service agreement they got a copy of was in December. And that was where the request was made to include buildings as large capital. So the service agreement then went through 8 iterations afterwards. And so this request for large capital funds was part of all those iterations. So to me, they became ordinary. So in the spirit of being transparent and trying to rectify any fault lines in the relationship, when I sent an email with the final draft, I said, put your attention to this, this, this. These are where the changes are. And missed this one.
Hmm.
So in that spirit, then they received it. And instead of seeing my effort to be helpful, they thought that I was concealing.
Hmm.
Right. So I'm glad she did her due diligence to read it. That's her job, to do her due diligence. It's not my emails to do due diligence for her. So it was my error, but it was absolutely unintentional.
Yep.
And just because I've been through so many versions of that agreement, that what was commonplace to me was brand new to her eyes, and I didn't realize it.
That's an honest mistake.
But it's the last line that does not sit well with me, that somebody will dictate to us who will sit at their table.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be me, but who gets to decide? That's you.
Well, we're looking for council to acknowledge that their request is followed through, and I don't think that's correct.
No, I don't think that's correct either. They're dictating to us.
It was an honest mistake, as the fact is that the email's been read over and over and over again. You commonly will see what you understand.
The agreement, you mean?
The author of the letter has read through it. Yes, they've seen it, they picked up on it. It was a fair, it wasn't as just been stated, it wasn't, and
Can you scroll up, please?
it wasn't an attack trying to change it, right? It wasn't trying to hide anything or change anything, it was just an honest mistake.
Had that been discussed if they were going to provide in writing prior to them going into the agreement?
We had discussed it here.
But not with them.
No, there's been no discussion with them. It's just been the agreements going back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in the first version that included, it wasn't like redlined or anything. It wasn't like.
Yes,
or something.
That's right. The first version was basically the same exact agreement we already had, except we have just, council decided that they would include now not just 17,000 for large capital, but a 5,000 for small capital, including PPE. So that's why we were redoing the agreement to put that line in there.
Yeah.
And that's what they got in December. And then they came back with a request that large capital, which was defined in the agreement as vehicles only, include buildings.
Yeah.
And then that's in January where all the different versions came out, because with including buildings from a capital fund that was reserved for their fire trucks, according to a schedule that was for the next, I think, 6 years or more, then it was part of this roundtable conversation. Well, if they want money for building too, how soon are they wanting access to that business? And there were some emails back and forth that they didn't want anything specifically for building. They just wanted the option and freedom to use building. So then the conversation was, well, since the money's being set aside for vehicles, if we change the definition of large capital, then we should have some kind of assurance that what they're spending it on is cost effective, or they're giving us kind of like how when we use CRIS money, we have to give a letter to Wheatland County explaining, oh, this is how we used it. Thank you so much for the money, something along those lines. And so then we had the different versions, and then council got the whittled down 4 different versions from a strict use of the money to a full autonomous use of the money. Council whittled it down to 2 versions, which you were here by that time. I did the side by side, and we decided on the 1 version. So
Yeah.
And then that's what was sent back, which, in the email, right, we said change the large capital, etc., and then please take time to check on it. So, and they did, they took time to check it, found that I didn't point out one thing specific and decided to
That's where this is.
feel, instead of seeing, I thought I was coming in a collaborative cooperation. Hey, look at these things that we changed, and I missed one. So they interpreted that as, I don't know.
An attack.
Yeah.
We don't know how they interpret it. I mean, what we can say from there. I guess the question is, it is written as a personal attack, but at the same time, they're saying, are they upset at that? Like, is it a personal attack, or are they upset at the idea that the village is not obliged to approve a request?
Well, they did sign the agreement.
So they're not that upset.
Well, like I tried to explain, we have to know. It's not that we're gonna say no, but we have to know. We have to plan ahead. We can't. Right?
Oh, I agree. 100%.
And this isn't just for us. I mean, or, I mean, they might not be sitting at the table 5 years down the road, and we probably won't be sitting here 5 years down the road. So it's just for future, right? So.
Yeah, well, I think that's important. I mean, if you look at the fire year over year, I think it's up like 42% increase.
Yeah.
Year over year, right? Like, so then, so that leads the question. So when you look at the major overrun cost is fuel. So I see those trucks are leaving here all the
They're
time,
busy.
and they're going to typically the Trans-Canada Highway.
Yep.
So that would be provincial jurisdiction, right?
If they're at a motor vehicle accident, they get funding from the government, right?
Yeah,
But if they're at a fire, it falls under mutual aid agreement.
yeah.
So we know that the province doesn't support that. We do.
So that's my question. So who's paying for them to? So if we're paying, the provincial government is paying them to go to the highway. Is that correct?
No, it
No.
depends on what it is. So
Okay.
if they go to Gleason, halfway to Gleason for a motor vehicle accident, they can bill
Are
per
they?
truck. Yes, they are.
Okay,
100% guaranteed.
yeah,
They do that for motor vehicle accidents. But if they go fight a stubble fire,
yeah,
we have a mutual aid agreement
Okay.
signed with the county.
yeah.
Where do we go? And that's our cost.
Yeah, so they used to in the past, they used to bill on they used to bill anyone. Like there was like a bill that went out. There was
Not for fires, not as long as I was ever involved.
I thought there was,
Mm-mm.
that might have, well, that was before.
And the
this.
reason
That was
being-
before the new fire hall. That was when it was here.
Oh, no. Even back then, they never billed they billed for motor vehicle accidents.
And that's it.
They never ever billed. That's why county residents pay taxes.
Yeah.
Right? They
Yeah,
pay
yeah,
fire tax,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I guess,
So,
yeah, to shorten the question I'm asking is, do they do an allocation of like, we're at the highway this much, we're on a fire for a county this much?
they know how
for
many
the
fire
county
calls they go to, how many
Yeah.
effort calls they go to, how many
Okay.
motor vehicles. They've got that all broken down.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, do they
Yeah.
report that to us?
No, and we've never really. That's micromanaging. I'm not gonna do that, right?
Well, it's not
They
about
do.
micromanaging. At some point, it's about, there's a 42% increase year over year, right?
Yeah, but look at the price of gas too, the price of diesel, and
Yeah,
we've lost
So-
one fire department in the county,
yeah,
and we've got two that are mutual aid that they go
Yeah.
down to a lot, right?
yeah, I'm not attacking.
No, I know.
This is about due diligence,
Yeah.
right? So if we have a 42% increase and we can see that fire truck's not in our town, then I would like to know that fuel is being billed to, if it's on a highway, to the municipality, and it's not being charged back to us. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get where you're going, but this just comes back to the mutual aid agreement, right? And that's just falls the way it is. We pay for that. The county does give them money,
Yeah.
right? So, but there's this mutual aid agreement goes back. I don't even know how many years. And it's just the way it's gonna be,
Yeah,
because
mutual
people
aid's
come
fine.
here, right?
Yeah, mutual aid's for fire.
It works both ways.
It works both ways, 100%. But like you're saying, if they're going to a highway and burning diesel, they're billing the provincial government for that,
Insurance companies.
insurance companies. So that's all I'm saying. I would like to see that is being
Mhm.
recorded properly.
Oh, yeah, I know it is, and I'm not gonna even go there with them. Right? That is not our,
That's under their purview.
that's under them. We are their, how do you say this? I guess we employ them. We pay their insurance. We pay their WCB because they are an employee from under us. But we are not gonna micromanage that.
No, that's. what I'm
Otherwise,
looking
we
at.
will not have a fire department.
Do we see do they get audited? Do we get to see any audits?
In the agreement, they have to provide a financial statement from the previous fiscal year. And it's the same financial statement that they give Wheeling County.
Oh, okay. When does that go up?
Well, let's see, they wrap it up in October and did we get it with their invoices?
No.
No, we didn't. No, I think they're late.
They're late, we should ask for it.
So what I'm just requesting here is that maybe we draft a letter of response that you can approve at the next council meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Maybe in the interim too, that, just in this spirit of transparency is to send a letter that we received their letter, thanking them for it. I guess here's the thing that I'm looking at, like, I can see that there is, again, some events there. To draft a letter and respond to that, I think is good. I think to have a little bit of an immediate response to saying, thank you, we've received this. Our intent is never to
offend.
offend. We are taking the time necessary to draft an open and honest letter. I don't know how.
I mean, one of the ways you invite this, right? Because we don't know what they're upset about, and it reads like a personal attack, which so people obviously get emotional. Right? So one of the things I would do personally, if it happened in my professional or my personal life, is I would invite the author of this letter to come meet with us, and we could meet privately if that's more appropriate. But I just feel like this is kind of like the internet thing, like emails going back and forth.
There needs to be some communication. Yeah.
I think it needs to be face to face. There's so much more that goes in body language, and there's so much more that can be misconstrued. Right? I don't think we're misconstruing this. They're upset, and it is a personal attack, and it does go to the authority, right? Which goes to the CAO's authority, right? Which puts council in a bound position to address this. But we don't want to escalate it. So you're saying, Martin, we don't want to, So I would make a motion that we invite Leah to a meeting.
I'm good with that.
With council, and then I would take advice from Edmund if they would want someone at this meeting with council. Because I'm not of a particular opinion on that.
Like, you mean every meeting or just
No, to a meeting to
To a
address
meeting.
this.
just
Yeah.
to the meeting?
To
Yeah.
a meeting to
Yeah,
talk
okay.
this through.
Yeah.
And then whether we want to have, I would ask for admin's advice, whether that would be council only or whether you would want to be there.
Well,
well, the administration needs to be
Yeah.
there. You can't,
Well, we can have a meeting and take minutes. and-
no,
no,
this is involving, like, we're not gonna start meeting.
The reason I would suggest that we would meet without admin is not to undermine our admin, is that our admin reports to us, not to the fire department. So just because they're asking us to do stuff that is really, they're not in a position to ask us to do that.
No.
And at some level, we're not even really in a position to instruct the CAO to abide by that.
It's not our
Right.
place, that's what I'm
Right,
saying.
so that's what I'm saying, if we had a meeting with council, we could be in a position where the reason our admin's not here is because you don't have anything to do with our admin. Right? But it doesn't matter
Yeah.
either way, the reason you would have admin there is that you're want to, let's cover this ground,
Mhm.
right? But I personally don't think a letter is gonna get us to where we need to get.
No,
because
I
if you
kinda-
call a meeting and it's a special meeting, it's open to the public, and then if you're doing something, then you can go in closed session, but
I don't,
What do you advise?
well, it has to be a public meeting. So I think I like your idea of inviting them to come back and
Wow.
address and
inviting,
Leah.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
I mean, they want a response. We formally request that, sorry. Request a formal response from mayor and council regarding this issue.
And that's where I don't want to go, is because no matter how we respond, it will inflame this issue, because they're asking for something we
This
actually
is-
can't do.
This, we can't do that.
I know.
That is not our place.
No.
This is her employee, not our employee. Right?
This is why.
She's our.
So how do you respond? I don't think we can respond that way.
Well, I think we respond with asking them politely to come and sit down and have a conversation with us.
I think so too, right?
Yeah.
We can even drink coffee.
We can even drink coffee. Yeah, so
So do we actually respond back that council cannot formally
no, I think you
respond to your,
I like Adam, if we respond in writing, it's a thank you. And then I think
It's a thank you, and we want to sit down and just, just talk openly and casually and reestablish a relationship.
Yeah.
And keep it like that, because the thing is, this letter has things in it that are governance and administration. We're governance, but we have no real hand in the administration of this. Was that a motion that you put forward, or?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So we're working on what
what
it
it's gonna
what it
say.
is, yeah.
Because I guess what I'd say, just as a clarification, because I have a conflict in this one, would this be something that council would want me present for, or would this be something that may be more open and amicable for communication with the fire association individual if I was not present in the room?
I'm comfortable with you being. Because if we've decided, if this council and past has decided
Mhm.
that you're not in conflict,
Mhm.
then in my view, you're still not in conflict.
he wouldn't be in conflict
No.
because she is not Adam's employee.
And that's what's
Yeah.
decided already. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
And that's
that's the
fine.
case.
And that's not
I
our,
think
yeah,
That
sorry
would be
about that.
our mistake.
Yeah.
To say that there's a conflict
Mhm.
now.
And you'd be attending as a counselor.
Yeah, and you're right. It's not even us that said there isn't a conflict. It was municipal affairs that we asked and got clarification that there was no conflict. So you're right. To
Yeah.
perceive one
Okay, so you
is not about.
figure out what you want to send.
Okay.
The letter? No,
Well,
So,
oh,
no.
Can we
not
say the
really.
letter, like, I think Adam's right, like, we can say we received their correspondence and we thank you for that.
Send a letter of acknowledgement.
We're glad that we have executed agreement. We're formally requesting a meeting to discuss outstanding concerns and considerations in a face-to-face meeting,
Yeah, and just open conversation, I guess.
something like that.
Yeah,
Do you want to leave it up to or do you want them to come to a council meeting, or do you want to call a special meeting?
I just think invite him to the next council
Okay.
meeting. I don't want to call a special
Okay.
meeting to do that.
No, we don't
Okay,
want to.
just wanted to see if
Yeah,
you were-
Take
I
on
mean,
more
we can-
costs.
Yeah.
We can take I think we can do it in, half an hour or whatever, really. I think we're all adults. I think we can all figure it out, right? So
Hmm.
we might have to just try to
so
hurry everything else up that night.
are you wanting to hear a draft from your ideas, or are we taking?
Yes, go. Yeah,
Uh,
I'm just saying the same thing.
Well, obviously a heading. We received your letter. Sorry for the offense. It was unintentional. We thank you for signing the agreement despite your grievances and for your continued dedication to your service. If you are interested in discussing matters further, we invite you to join council at the next meeting to discuss further, I used further twice, that's poor grammar, further concerns and considerations.
I wouldn't put any vernacular in there about any offense of any kind. What we're thanking them for is a letter and that we've executed agreement. And then all of that other stuff, I wouldn't put that in.
So the paragraph,
Is my personal opinion.
Uh,
I don't think you address
No,
that because
we'll address
I
that.
So-
feel like some of that language is not necessarily appropriate. It's already done, but I wouldn't participate in that.
we thank you for signing the agreement, take out despite your grievances or reservations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we thank you for signing the agreement. and for your continued dedication to serve. That paragraph's okay?
I like that.
And
Now I have,
Formally-
if you are interested in discussing, you want to take the if out or just go, we invite you to?
We invite you to.
Invite or request.
Invite's a little bit
Invite.
nicer.
Yeah.
Invite, okay.
We invite you to join council at the next meeting. I'll put the date in to discuss further concerns and considerations.
Yeah. Because then if they don't come, then,
It's a
Yeah,
moot
so-
point.
because they've asked us to address something, we've asked them to come attend in person and
Yeah.
address it. If they don't come,
Mhm.
then we can assume that this is settled.
Okay, so
And if it's
what's,
not settled, at least it'll cool.
But like,
I think they'll come. Or she'll come.
and I support that because the thing is our intent in having this meeting is to have open and clear communication so that there isn't any sort of misunderstanding that can happen with print dialogue.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
we can look at
Yeah,
intent.
and then as a, just in a formal meeting environment, typically you would never send one single person unless that person agrees to that. So if she brings someone, that would be
I
typical.
will not allow 15 people in here.
No.
Just so you know, because I've been to meetings like that before. So with anybody that's coming here, any group, what did we set the number at, 2?
Yeah, 2, 3.
It's all the
max.
same.
Yeah, because, it just,
Mhm.
2's fine.
Like
with
in
me.
business, I'll go to meetings by myself, but I know lots of people that won't. So
Mhm.
like, and that's just a standard practice.
Yeah.
Just 2 people.
It's good to have
Well,
two
and this
witnesses.
is from the rural, right? So it would probably be president, vice president, I would think.
Yeah.
do you want that specified?
Sure.
Invite you and
The
vice president.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's good with that?
Yep.
Somebody want to make that, you made the motion to send it?
Well, the motion was sort of conversational. I don't know what the.
Yeah, okay, so
Right.
I move to send the letter as discussed, thanking for the agreement and inviting the president and the vice president to the next council meeting.
Coffee, snacks, and conversation.
Mhm.
All in favor? Carried. Reports, Wadempsa, Adam. Oh, sorry, no.
Library
I
appointment.
Library
jumped ahead,
appointments,
library
yeah.
appointment.
So we have a new member
Does it need to
to the
be,
library board. So just exactly how it says. Move to appoint the following individual to the Standard Municipal Library Board for the specific term. Connie Harder, term expiry date, oh, sorry, you can't see it on there, December 31st, 2026.
I move that we appoint the following individuals to the Center Municipal Library Board for the specified terms. Connie Harder, term expiry date, December 31st, 2026.
All in favor? Carried. Wadempsa, Adam.
Okay. After a little bit of time, we met on Monday, May 6th. Okay, so a couple things to report. Our call volume to date is 980 calls for the year. That is 22.35% decrease from year over year. There is less calls that we've experienced because, again, we're still not going into the city as much. And we also have less calls because Siksika ambulance service has increased from 2 cars to 3 cars. So we're doing less service out there. This is affording it to where our ambulances are, sorry, I can write this down and like send it to you too if you want. Means that our ambulances are more in our local jurisdiction for our local emergencies. In the past, when things were busy, we had an availability percentage rate of 28%, meaning 28% of the time there was an ambulance in our area that was available. Now that things have reduced down, our availability time rate is 75%.
Wow.
So 75% of the time, we have an ambulance within the region that is essentially on standby and not in use at the time of call. So that's a good thing.
Nice.
Okay. So someone did the math and they said, we're still doing about 8 ambulance calls a day. Our radio systems are being updated. The Strathmore Fire Department has went to the AFRAX radio system, which is a good system, but it's not necessarily compatible with all the other systems out there. So WDEPSA has updated and we've priced out updating our radio console. So it will work with pretty much anything. It'll work with AFRAX, it'll work with other systems that fire departments already have. This is to the tune of $130,000 for us. So it's a big investment and it will be coming online in June. Okay.
Is it different than the one you just changed over to?
Well, there's the digital EMS and digital 911, and that was an update. This is added on top of that. I don't think it's a rechange and redo the entire thing, but it's updating so that we can now service and communicate with an AFRAX system, which is what Strathmore Fire Department is going to go to. Okay, we have been in contact with AHS and as far as our negotiated agreement. Just to put some context, this agreement is old. They've extended it well past the time that it was originally negotiated. It has been extended for another 6 months, what we call a bridging agreement, so that AHS is looking in 6 months' time to do a 2-year extension with us until 2026. Currently in that intended extension, they do not see any additional funding coming our way. This year we had a slight surplus, but without any individual increase in funding, and with the increase in fuel costs and other things, we're projecting that if they don't increase something, we'll probably be running a deficit. So we're in contact with Alberta Health Services to make sure that we're not underfunded. So it's kind of in the political game here a little. Also, Alberta Health Sciences, that's the union that represents the paramedics that work for that work for WDEPSA, are opening negotiations for our new contract, and that will be the start, at the end of May. We're kind of, just for context, we're always in limbo because our contract negotiations with our employees always hinges on Alberta Health Services contract negotiations with Alberta Health Sciences, and that's not completed yet. So we can't do anything more than what they do. So again, we're in the waiting scene. In new business, the town of Strathmore's fire department has asked to request for a fire dispatch service agreement. We had a lot of discussion on that. We want to make sure that the town of Strathmore's fire department is happy with that. But at the same time, we also discussed we can't have a service agreement for one and a service agreement for, we want to have a unified service agreement that works for all of the partners in this. And we had a lot of discussion around the table about how important it is with WDEPSA to look at it as a partnership. Like if we start to fracture out, and the partnership will fall apart. And that would be, I think, in my opinion, it would be a detriment to our residents and everyone in the area. Mm-hmm. So there's discussions on how to be able to contact and sit down with an informal meeting with them and see what their concerns are, what kind of brought up in this idea of needing a fire service agreement, the frustrations that are behind it that kind of blindsided our organization, and iron things out. So our next meeting, is set for the end of June. Sorry, I'm just trying to look on that calendar because I didn't write it down on this piece of paper. June 17th. And at that meeting, we should have our audited financials and hopefully approving them.
Okay, WHMB. So
It says in the package, Martin. I didn't see it. Was it in the package online? It's because it's not here, right?
What
Which?
the
the reports
Right beside yours,
No.
it says 10.2C package
Yeah, it should have been in
Should have been in there.
It should have been in there.
online.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. So we did not, you can go ahead and read that if you didn't read it. Anyways,
Do I
we
need to
did
look at
not receive
It's on there.
funding
Okay.
this go round.
Whoops. Accident, sorry. Tapped in the wrong corner of the screen.
I'll let you just read it. It's easier for me to explain it.
Can you scroll down?
So the reason, we'll find out more tomorrow night. I have a special meeting tomorrow night, so I'm not sure what it's all about. But we were not at a Class A budget. And they pretty much told us, if you are not at a Class A budget, you're more than likely not going to get funding. So there is more funding coming out. I'm not sure when, I think the fall. So we have to have our Class A budget done before that. So we're only one step away from that. Everybody, I'll say this. The smallest municipalities have all given their advance on the money that we've all agreed to prior, right? They just want the advance to get to the Class A budget. The county has not approved the advance yet. So they brought it to their meeting today and it was pushed off again till the 21st. I don't really know what else to say about that. I mean, yeah, we're disappointed in it, but we're not at all giving up hope, because we've been basically told that we are, if we get to shovel ready or Class A budget before the next one, our chances are really good.
What's the cost to get to there?
Oh, 1.4 million.
Okay, 1 point, and that would be by the fall. If you.
Well, we're just waiting for one.
For one.
Everybody else has sent checks already. Rocky Ford, Pizarro, Standard, Strathmore. That's all, because all it is, like, back when this all started and everything came, we signed a letter of support.
Yeah.
Saying that yes, we will, as a village, give you this amount of money. So we've already done that, but to get to this, basically, we've given them advance on that money to get to the Class A budget. So it's not costing us any more than it was gonna in the long run. So there has, I can't tell you that.
But they don't have the money from all the partners to get to that budget yet.
They're only missing one. And, well, I'm just gonna say it, there is talk that if it doesn't happen, there is a plan B. And it would not be, it would not fall on the municipalities. So,
Like a GoFundMe page.
we'll see, I'll go sure, because I can't really say, I can just say there is a plan B. So I'll know more tomorrow night, because we are having a special meeting, and I'm hoping it's some good news, so.
When was your last meeting?
Our last meeting was, oh God, I don't even, April 18th. I think. I did have a special meeting, Zoom meeting on Friday. Monday. Friday. Sorry, my days about kind of ran together. So I'm on the maintenance committee. We need to put a new roof on the lodge. We've got a lot of damaged shingles, and so we got two tenders. One was 700,000, one was 400. So the consultant, we met with them and asked, my first question was why the big difference? Right, because you look at both of the tenders and it's kind of, everything was the same except for the price. They think they just didn't want to do the job, so let's just double it, and if we get it, fine, we'll deal with it. If we don't, that's good too. So,
That's likely.
so we're looking at spending a little more on the first, or on the lowest quote. We've got some laminate shingles. They're supposed to outlast any other shingle in a hailstorm. So we haven't approved anything yet. That'll be going to the next meeting. Maintenance committee will be suggesting what we do, but both tenders, the consultant, I asked which one, do you know both of these companies? And she said yes, and we work with both of them. They're both that good, so. Yeah. Our next meeting, well, special meeting tomorrow night. And our next meeting should be May 16th. I'll skip Drumheller District Solid Waste. WFCSS, Richard.
I need to apologize. I can't get access to my notes on my phone for either one of my committees, so I will get them together and I will send them.
WRC, we had our first annual general meeting, April 17th. Annual shareholders agreement. It went good. It was at the county. Yvette and Larry came. Nothing really come out of it. It was what, 30 minutes long or whatever.
Yeah.
The county did tender their services, so we did not put in a tender on it. It's just kind of been ongoing. Redland residents should be getting water soon, I hope. It sounds like it's going forward, so that'll be more water sales, and it's been just kind of ongoing. Yeah. Next meeting, I believe, is June 20th. Unless I got that, if I got that wrong, I'll let you know. Community Futures, Richard.
Again.
Larry Casey, Library, Asset Management.
Sorry, hang on. Updated all the fire hydrants on the GIS, which allows me to put down their condition, if they need repairs and what the repairs are, the date of their last inspection, etc. So that's all been updated. Added water meters. There have been several water meters replaced in the last few months, so I've now added them to the map with their date and their size and everything else, so we know we have that information for the future. And then, of course, discussing the drought with the WRC.
Strategic planning. That's trying to set them off here.
Okay, so we updated the strategic plan as discussed at the last meeting, which I watched while I was away. And it's been updated, it's been edited, and it is posted on the website. Self-sufficiency, that goal, we have received the updated version of TerraAlta's proposal, which is the full merge of everything. That'll come up later. For the Beautify goal, I did apply for a grant from Fortis. It was a modest grant to purchase and plant 8 poplar trees by the Centennial Park playground to offer some shade. That was way before any conversation of drought. Haven't heard back from the grant. It's supposed to be after May. So that's just there. Newsletter, or so building opportunities, that strategic planning goal. We have Yvette approved a new format to the newsletter. It's a little bit bigger, same cost to mail, it's just a flyer, but it's bigger so that there's more room to inform the public of what council's doing in addition to any other pertinent announcements that are good for residents to know. And I've included a volunteer section, so I just kind of keep my ear to the ground when people call, groups call, or I see it on my Facebook when I'm streaming, going at home. Then I just throw those volunteer opportunities on the newsletter as well. Then the economic development. So one of our goals was to pass the budget earlier in the year, so that way the tax rate would be known sooner, so that residents and businesses could plan ahead for it. So the budget was passed 1 month earlier this year than that was last year. So halfway there. The budget includes the surveys for the industrial park. And so of course Yvette's working on that as it becomes available. So that's all of our strategic planning movement.
Memory lane.
I would say meeting on the 15th with that. And they would like to know when we're doing some paving this summer at the Octagon gazebo. They would like couple buckets of pavement. They're talking about the water. They want to put a tank, or they're going to put in a tank at Carol's there. So we picked an orientation and discuss some artwork on the end that's facing the road.
Oh, nice.
And maybe a fence
Nice.
on the side that's not painted. So I think that's a little bit up in the air. There was one more thing. Let me just. One of the things was looking was that in there, when they went over their balance sheet, they do owe the village quite a sum. But there is a discussion that could be had there about that. And the other topic that they talked about is they're still kicking around. Well, one of the members is kicking around an idea of a caveat on the building. Their concern is that the electrical to Memory Lane is connected to the recycle building.
Yep.
Now, a caveat's ridiculous because they actually don't have a claim on that building.
We can't do that.
At the same time, they have a legitimate thought that they're connected to that building and they don't own the building.
So do you want to talk to this about caveat on that building?
They've been told that, it's been a while, so it's like legal said that there's just no way that they could
We cannot put a caveat on that
cannot
building.
do that. And
So, you know what, maybe what I suggest, maybe we can sell them the building.
They would have to pay us the money they owe us first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. But you know what I'm saying, right? I mean, that's one way around it. Buy the building from us.
That's an interesting idea.
Well, then the whole problem is solved. It turns into them.
They need to raise a lot of money, and we know what the assessment is.
on the building?
Yeah.
Yes,
You know, the assessment.
We looked into it, what, a
yeah.
year ago?
it's
A year.
60,000 or something,
In the 60K range.
yeah.
Well, that was last year. I don't think it was gone up much because nothing's changed. It's an unheated, uninsulated storage building. It's got lights, so. You know what, that is something I would not have a problem.
Why don't we give them the Esso building and then they can do whatever they want with it?
They're not gonna buy the old, we'd have a better chance selling them recycled building,
Yeah.
But why do they need a building?
storage. Plus, then they'd never have to worry about the power problem, because we are storing stuff of theirs.
Yeah. I just look at it like, for example, if they, in the rare future or whatever, that building was sold out of Village's control, like, if I was still on council, I see value enough in in Memory Lane and what they've done, that if that property was sold out, we would find, like, if I was on council, we'd find a way to make sure that that area that's used by multiple in our village had power. Like we do have power lines that run parallel to Memory Lane. It would cost money at that point,
Mhm.
right? Okay, this is just all hearsay because it's just conversation, right? But it's, if that building was sold, would not the price of the building sell, the sale of that property afford the village a chance to connect to power from Memory Lane? Like, I don't, like, how is the thing? Like, I understand the idea of a caveat, because then you've got something that is guaranteed that
You never sell.
you don't have, well, guaranteed that you're not ever going to lose power, because that's the main, I think, motivation of Memory Lane is they don't want to have all this electrical that they don't have power to. But I don't see that ever going to be being a problem, because we're servicing our village members. The best way that Memory Lane services us is by by having power on their sites and doing the things that they do.
That's the way we should have done it in the first place, is got them power instead of putting it into that building.
Yeah, that's water under the bridge. We can't go back on that. But
So wonder what it would cost us to change that power over.
So probably less than sell the building.
yeah, like what I'm saying is
We can get power
But,
from the
yeah,
Esso building.
I think what Adam is saying is,
Right, so it's
ain't
like,
broke, don't fix it.
yeah, like I'm saying,
yeah,
I wish I could say to Memory Lane, like, it's again going back to sometimes of a handshake deal. But the thing is in the future, would we ever see the village at odds with Memory Lane to where we're cutting them off of power?
No.
And the answer is no. Like, that's just, it's absurd. So I don't know if we need to have a caveat to say that we're not going to do that to them.
They're worried about selling the building. That's what it's gonna come down to, right? That has been said. If we sell the building, they're gonna lose the power, but
No, they won't. We would find another way to get it.
the vets have said it. The Esso building, there's power down there. That's the way we should have went in the first place. But anyway,
They'll always have power.
okay,
Why wouldn't we not do that?
is that it?
Mhm.
That you had? Okay.
Oh, I don't know when the next meeting is, because the guy
They
contacted,
just kinda,
they had one recently, but
I think they just kind of, let's have a meeting. I
They're
don't think
Yeah.
there's ever a set, and that's fine.
They just wanted, because council had requested that we keep updated on the activities or the big projects that they have.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Yeah.
This is what they're planning to do, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, I think it's good. I mean, they owe us a substantial sum of money outstanding. And they also have projects. And so like their
Yeah,
budget is an interesting thing.
We've had this conversation before as to,
Mhm.
before they start building more stuff, they need to start paying us back. Cause that's money that we don't have in our budget.
We clearly need.
And we need
I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, that's one of the things is, maybe if I go to another meeting, maybe I would express to them that we would
So-
maybe, I don't know, this is open discussion. Just
Well, I'm
saying,
just-
would we be interested in a repayment plan from them?
Well, I'm just thinking that might not be counselor's job. That might be an administration job. Right?
They are paying it back.
Oh, they are.
They are
Oh,
paying
yeah.
back.
Just slowly.
Just
Yeah.
slowly.
Okay. You know what, whatever, that's up to you guys.
I don't care. They are paying it back.
No, well, yeah.
well, I see what you're saying. Like, if you're paying it back, but you're paying it back really, really slowly, and you're incurring more big projects where, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's,
Kind of put this back over here so we can do this project and then, we'll flip you a little bit to keep you happy type thing, right?
Yeah, and I'm not saying if that's happening, but I think it might be. But I'm also saying that's maybe not a bad thing because the community improvement that they're
Oh, for
doing
sure.
is also
Yeah.
valuable.
Yeah.
That's why the discussion is a little like it's a discussion,
Yeah.
right? Because we need the money, but what they're doing is good,
Mhm.
right? So you have to balance that.
And I believe they do, I think they got a casino, they're in for casino, aren't they?
I think and I think that funding will come to them around October or something.
Okay.
So You just have to have the timing right when you hit them off their check.
Tell them we're really short money right now. All right, well, if that's it, we'll move on to hospice. So I'll report on this. So we did hike for hospice Sunday. Glenda and I went over and did the 5K. It was a great day. I believe Joni messaged me, they raised 35,000. They had the fire truck pull. And 4 or 5 teams in it, I think 11 or 12 firefighters on each team. Standard put a team in. First time in, they did good. They didn't win, but the thing that they did win that is definitely worth saying is they got a trophy for raising the most donations out of all the fire departments. So that's definitely worth mentioning. So they did a great job at that. That was a good day. I don't know how many walkers they had. I'm not talking walkers, because there was seniors out there. They rode scooters. Or over the hill gang at the lodge, they'll have scooters. And Al McKibben is the leader of the gang. And they lead the hike on their scooters. So it's
Oh, wow.
and they love it. It's really good. So that's I guess about it.
And then a really good turnout at the meeting over here in Standard.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that meeting.
Yes.
Very positive meeting. Thanks for reminding me about
Yeah.
that.
80+ people attended.
Yeah, there was about 80 people there. Lots of good questions asked. To one county councilor that was there, and yeah, it was good. It was very informative. It had nothing to do with the lodge. It was all on the hospice, so it was definitely good. So
When you say when you say the hospice, as I understand, is connected to the lodge
Okay.
in the new building, is that?
yes,
But there's like, it's one building, but could they be
There-
separated
no,
physically? Okay.
no, they can't. The reason being is to build a separate, you have to have kitchen.
Yeah.
So as soon as you put a kitchen, the kitchen is one of the most expensive things you put in a building.
Yeah.
Especially in a building like that. So it just works out better to join them, and they
Oh, it makes sense.
fund us money. They're hoping to start with 6 beds in there, so. And they won't be just stuck around the corner at like Joni always says, at the end of the hall, because that's where a lot of places put their dying people, right? It's not very dignified. This will be good because they'll have family places, the family can be there, and it'll be really good. So, yeah, it'll be nice to get it done. That's it for me. I don't go to their meetings. I'm not a hospice board member. So,
They have, what I understand is they have money. Like they're
they're
reasonably well.
they are very big fundraisers, and there is a lot of very passionate people in the county of Wheatland for the hospice.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
The farming for hospice, I don't know numbers, but they're going bigger this year with the amount of land they want to. They raise a lot of money, and it's a big deal. So, and like I say, for one afternoon, and I know Joni McNeely was highly exhausted at the end of the day, but $35,000 for a hike, like that's pretty amazing. So it does show that it's very important to people. Yeah. Okay. Moving on, ongoing business 11.1 bylaws, policies, unsightly bylaw.
Yes, so there was from the last meeting, conversation about tags. And I've been in conversation with Chris Perman, who is the chief bylaw officer, reviewing things. And I know that council wanted to take tags out. I wanted to give it one more chance because it's not about fines, it's about enforcement. So a good bylaw is one that's easily enforced. So I have two things to show you. So first is that I put in, you have in front of you the procedure. It seemed to me that a lot of the concern from the last meeting, from what I watched, was about how are penalties delivered. And that's a procedure. Procedures are not part of bylaws because procedures change over time and you don't have to redo an entire bylaw if you're changing the procedure. So I made a flow chart to demonstrate how the procedure of this bylaw would be enforced. So you can see that a complaint is received. I'm going to read it out loud because there are people watching who may want to know. Complaint is received of a potential violation to the bylaw. The complaint can come from anywhere. It can come from within the public works, or it could come from any member of the community. The first thing we ask is, does this complaint have standing? If it does not have standing, then we go no, and there's no further action. So just because a complaint comes in about somebody's property, something they see, doesn't mean that there's always a necessary action. The second thing, and standing is determined in the bylaw, it's determined by a designated officer, CAO, and designated officer. So, and what it comes down to in the deliberation is who's complaining, why are they complaining? If it's someone who drove through standard and said, oh my gosh, this town's so ugly, I'm going to complain. Well, they have no standing, right? So those are the things that we measure. Say the complaint does have standing. So yes. So now we go to section 2 in the bylaw, where there's a letter, there might be an order, a case file is opened up so we can track it. There's, if an order is issued, it includes the violator how to remedy the situation. There's no fines, there's no fees. That's the first 3 sections, okay? If the order is ignored, and we're talking about ignored lots of times, then when they get an order of final notice. When there's final, that's sections in section 2 still. Once the final notice is issued, it includes final deadlines and a notice that we will enter the property. Now, remember that the bylaw has 3 stipulations. Is the property a danger? Let me go back to the bylaw here. Right here. Does it constitute a nuisance, which is defined in the definitions? Is it a danger to public safety? Is it unsightly? And those words are defined up here. Unsightly, a property causing a nuisance or is detrimental or dangerous to the surrounding. And nuisance is right there, a little bit bigger. Conditions like, for example, interferes with, noise, disturbs, injures, endangers safety, like breeding ground for mosquitoes, et cetera, okay? And then dangerous. Current condition has a potential cause for immediate harm or injury. So when we get a complaint and determine if it has standing, that order and how quickly we execute the order depends on what aspect of the bylaw they're in breach of. Obviously, if there are propane tanks that are hazardous and they're laying about near a fire pit, we're going to have a very quick order of action on that one, as opposed to somebody that has a sloppy pile of wood in the back alley, right? They're very different. So that's why it's a little bit determined on a case-by-case study or basis. So anyway, after the final notice is issued and there's deadlines, did the violator comply? Yes. No further action, nothing. Did the violator comply? No. Now we proceed to enforcement. The main difference between the enforcement of a ticket and the enforcement of a tab is not how it's delivered. I know there was concern about the safety in its delivery. Chris assured me that peace officers can be involved at any point. If we perceive there's danger or something, there's no need. In addition, the notices that are delivered can be emailed, mailed, phone called. We would probably utilize all of that to make sure we do our due process to ensure they don't have to be hand delivered. uh, once the, sorry, once the remediation or the enforcement proceeds, a violation tag is issued by the municipality. We can enforce a violation tag if the violation tag goes unpaid. So move over to the next arrow. The property will be remediated at that point. And remember, this is in the cases where it's like required. Maybe the grass is like 3 feet high and remediation didn't occur for 2 months. Okay, well, now we're gonna go on the property. Now we're gonna remediate. All of the steps through section 2 have been completed. Everything is good. The property is now remediated. Did the violator pay the fine? No. Violation tags can go to the property taxes. That's the difference between the tags and the
Okay.
tickets. A ticket goes to court.
Okay.
And that is why bylaw officers are sometimes hesitant to hand out tickets, because it has to be willing to be stood up in court.
Okay.
If we can't issue a tag, we have no enforcement power.
Okay.
So
So-
that's the difference.
No, it's
Well,
just,
That's-
we have no enforcement power. I mean, that's the purpose of the tickets, right?
Because
Well,
with
but
the
bylaws still have
Okay.
tags.
one at a time here.
yes. So I'm sorry, Mike's question is not that we don't have enforcement, we still have tickets. Yes, but the ticket will only, if tickets are issued through bylaw officers. If the bylaw officer doesn't deem it purposeful to go to court,
Mhm.
then they won't issue the ticket.
And I don't see a problem with that.
Well,
Because
that's
the bylaw
fine.
officer they're the ones that are gonna have a wide perspective on what on the reading and interpretation of a bylaw on the feet, on the ground, with people, on all throughout wherever they work throughout the county, right?
Yeah, and tags are not required to enforce the bylaw. This gives us the power to put it on the property tax if they don't pay for it.
Yeah,
Now,
I just
the-
feel, but see, now we're gonna use taxation as a penalty and as an authority and as a big stick.
Yeah, but that's the way it works with any unpaid, even your utilities. It goes
Yeah, I
on,
know,
right?
but the goal is that we want people to know that when they're paying for taxes, they're paying for their roads, their service, they're paying for everything, right?
Oh, this is
I
the,
just think this is a fundamentally, that's why you have enforcement, which is over here, which is done with officers in the crown and courts, but using taxes as enforcement, I don't know, on something that is ultimately in the eye of the beholder.
Well, the only thing that
Disagree with that.
made me kind of change my opinion on that is when bylaw said that tags is something we should be doing. That's the only reason and I mean,
and
let's
it is
face it,
used
we
in the land
never,
use bylaw, we
we have
discussed it.
never got to
Yeah.
that
No,
point, right?
but we have gone onto properties and we've done
Yeah.
cleanup, so then you add that to, if the person, you invoice
They
them, if
don't
they
pay
don't
their
pay
bill,
it,
and then you
then it
invoice.
goes onto their property taxes.
Yeah.
That's the process.
Exactly,
And
and I
that's-
think that process.
And that's
the
what
right-
that is.
the
That's what a
right-
violation tag is.
That's what a
No,
tag
you're
is.
invoicing after you do the work, right? Like this tag is like a fine.
Here, let's go to this
Yeah.
page here.
I think that's the question
Well,
that we have
that's-
is like,
Like, cause if
Do we
we're,
charge
if we're
them?
invoicing for work, sorry, Adam.
go ahead.
If we're invoicing for work, that is completely different than fining people.
But that is what the tag would be. So if we went
It's a
in there,
fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
but if we went in there and spent 4 hours or whatever, we're gonna bill them. That's what the tag, the way I'm understanding it, maybe I'm wrong. That's what the tag would be.
Yeah,
So we went in and spent 4 hours cleaning, we would give them a tag saying, here's your bill for. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, let's go back to the flow chart and then you can understand it. You may still disagree with it, but this is how it works. So remember, the tags are not part of any aspect of requiring them to clean up, making requests, orders, information, etc., until after they've been issued a final notice and deadlines have been passed. Now, there is a tag that says, okay, you've ignored all these issues, you've ignored the final notice, you haven't worked with us, your property is a nuisance, is dangerous, is unsightly, and needs to be remedied. That's where maybe this is the one Mike's concerned about. There's $250 for issuing the tag. That is a fear, that is definitely a deterrent tag for sure. Up here though are what is called applicable fees. And this is what we would feed the fee schedule when administration and public works are required to participate in what they should have done to begin with. So if they don't remediate their property and we have to go and find the people to do it and organize the time, et cetera, this is the fee. So in an example, let's have like, are you thinking of one, or do you want me to just make one up? Do you want a scenario?
I don't need one. I
Okay.
mean, to me, it's very clear. There's
Okay.
two very separate things. One is we have a cost structure for if we have to go clean up someone's property, we bill them that amount. The other, we're issuing them a fine.
Well, no, the way I read
We're
section,
issuing them a check.
go to section 4 on your
Flow chart.
flow chart.
Hmm.
Section 4, violation ticket or violation tag will be issued for bylaw violation fines and remediation costs.
So there's
And
fines.
there's two
Mhm.
different things.
Yeah, I know, there's a fine, plus there's the billing.
So the fine would be this part,
Yeah, I've seen that.
and if it's a ticket, this is what it is. So if bylaw gets involved, the first offense
Yeah.
comes with a $250 fine, plus whatever it costs us to remediate. Whereas if they don't pay it, it will go to court. If municipal does it, then we do the same cost, no second or first offense. It just is because, hey, we're saying, hey, you've done this and it needs to be remediated. Here's your fine, plus the cost of all this. And if they don't pay it, then we can put it on property taxes. It doesn't occur that way on every bylaw, only this particular one because it's property related. Right?
I just know,
Yeah.
like, there's lots of problems with these tags, so there is, it's there can be a perceived bias and therefore abuse, whether it's occurring or not, that can be perceived, right? We all know people, right? So then someone's property gets tagged and tagged and tagged, right? And then that will be in court, and then we have to defend those tags. Where if it's a ticket through the court, yes.
If we're issuing a fine because you didn't do something, and then we go in there and clean it up, that can all be added to the property tax.
Well, the invoice, sure, the invoice, because that's we're actually completing something, we're completing works. But,
And the fine.
but
Yeah, well,
and then we're adding fines to property taxes.
And we add penalties to people who don't pay their taxes. We penalize those that don't pay on time. So is it any different?
It is.
Somebody who's not cleaning up their yard versus the guy the next door that does it all the time? Like,
It is different in the fact that there can be a perception of abuse, right? So there are people who are not going to get along. And if someone is getting tagged, and then it's added to taxes, it doesn't have to be, there is a perception because we are not a court. And so if we're the ones, when the bylaw officer says, this is a problem, I am ticketing you, this, I will go to court over this. That's an element of law enforcement or by law enforcement, right? If we're saying your neighbor says that pile of sticks is not neat enough, and then we agree that pile of sticks is not neat enough, and then we are tagging them, that's a completely different thing. Because then the perception is, well, the bylaw officer doesn't think it's having breach of the bylaw, right?
Yes, I don't mean to get caught in the semantics. Maybe your example isn't meant to be taken literally. But if it's say it was a pile of sticks, we had lots of pile of sticks last summer, but it's the pile of sticks on village property. Then the concern would have standing, and we would issue a letter or a communique first that says, we need to move the sticks. And if they don't move the sticks by a particular deadline, then we move the sticks for them and determine it never got to enforcement. It never got to where a tag was needed. It was a pile of sticks, you see. So the enforcement proceeds, did the violator comply? That's the discretion. A pile of sticks is obviously, if a neighbor complains about a pile of sticks and they came to us, their pile of sticks is so ugly. Well, then don't look, so there's no standing to that complaint. It's on their property. It's their pile of sticks. It's not flammable. It's not this, it's not that. If it was a pile of sticks leaning on the neighbor's fence and it was shifting their fence. Now it has standing. Now we issue an order, or we do a letter first, we communicate, we talk on the phone. Do you need help? We've got this truck here. Do you need to use it? There's a lot of steps before enforcement. I am in favor of violation tags because we found ourselves with our hands tied a lot last year. And then when we were trying to enforce it, we had no record of enforcement because we had no power of enforcement because it only goes to, well, the last bylaw didn't even have the ticket bit in it. So that's why we're updating this, right?
I kind of, like, I know what Mike's saying, so
Yeah,
if the county bylaw officer isn't willing to go to court because he doesn't think it's bad enough, but yet, well, we do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get what
Let
you're
me
saying.
Let me change the example to something I think that would be more pertinent to some people. So if you walk by the old garage, some people would walk by there and say, this is a nuisance and unsafe because there's some cars there. Not from my perspective.
Reliable motors.
oh,
So from my perspective, though, that's not the case at all. You could fence it in, it doesn't matter. Those cars are cool, right? So you can have someone who's super upset with something that other people are like, that's character, man. Like, that's color. And that, and so that's why it needs to go to court. In my view.
Yeah, no,
That's why, is because this is too arbitrary. Because if a bylaw officer is not willing to go to court, and then, but we document it, and if we document, like, we send the letters, we keep the letters, we sent the email, you have a log, right?
I will say though, bylaw officers don't want to go to court because I don't think they get paid to go sit in court, do they?
I don't know.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Same as peace officers.
Anyway, go ahead. You were-
Well, Mike has kind of beat me to kind of my initial thought is like, say using the instance of a garage, using the one we just said, his car's next to it. Now, me being a mechanic, somebody goes by and says, oh, that's old derelict cars and everything else. Now I know as a mechanic, there's 2 Hudson Hornets in the back. They're very sought after, very nice, very, sought after vehicles. They look cool. They're a neat old car, they're there. I, as a landowner, would be absolutely furious if somebody who's never touched a wrench, doesn't work on a car, whatever else, walks by and says, that looks ugly, I don't like it. And then it goes through this process. Do we have any avenue for the defendant to come forward, the plaintiff defendant, I guess, to come forward to say, those cars are of a intrinsic value, they are they were my mother's cars, whatever else. I'm not getting rid of them. And if you come on my property to get rid of them, we're going to have issues. They have sentimental value. You will not touch them. I don't care if he doesn't like them or not. They stay.
So go ahead. You had a question.
My biggest question of issue is ugly part of unsightly. I don't think it is, according to where we're reading our bylaw. So the thing is this neighbor A says this, and this neighbor B says this, and says that this is ugly. It goes back to those 3 things. Is it dangerous? Like someone could have, let's say, a vintage, really tall windmill in the back of their yard. If that thing's dangerous of falling down, even if it's beautiful, it could be unsightly because of public danger. If it's not, like whatever. But, going to all these things, right? What were the 3 again? It has to be either poses a
danger and a nuisance, or
Unsightly.
which is
an unsightly is defined as a property causing a nuisance that is detrimental or that is dangerous to the surrounding area.
So they're a bit circular. They're circular definitions because the definitions are using out of the words.
Yeah.
So
And so
nuisance is a little
it
bit.
becomes rather arbitrary and in the eye of the beholder.
And I think that's the reason, like, for example, I see where like council or the village comes into play. Because, for example, the village kind of acts as a fence between 2 neighbors, where one neighbor says, I don't like this, and the other neighbor says, this is just fine.
Yeah.
And a good bylaw has as good of a job as possible of delineating that fence between the two neighbors to say, okay, this has crossed the line and needs to be remediated versus, no, this is within acceptable use and we can agree to disagree, but it's still acceptable. And so one of the things is I was looking, that was my first question is like, I think some of these things is the clarity at which we call, that's what we define unsightly, is that's a big portion. And the second one though is do we incur any costs if our bylaw officer goes to court? Because we don't do any representation. However, if in court, let's say, if a ticket was given in court and the court, how do I put it? Because the biggest thing is I look at it is the ticket isn't necessarily to cover our costs or anything. That's already being done. That's already put into taxation. Like, they don't pay into the bill. But there is a point where I think you have, like, it's the idea of a deterrent, right? Because it becomes really onerous for our staff if, let's say, like the worst case scenario, you had a resident that had something unsightly 1 year, 6 months later, unsightly, 6 months later, unsightly, 6 months later, unsightly. And we've now been to court 3-4 times with it. That's a lot of wasted resources and a lot of wasted time for a peace officer. So, like,
Okay,
Yeah.
so I like the argument line.
Yeah.
How does a tag solve that? Because
it might not.
It wouldn't stop it. It would stop. He wouldn't have to go to court.
No, but the village fines them for being in violation of the bylaw. We just have to start enforcing it. That's the thing, is we just need to, and then once it happens once, then it won't happen again, right? We're doing it in all different areas. The same with the tax arrears list. We're giving it off to somebody else and they're handling it. We're putting all those charges onto their,
Yeah.
it's a fee that they have to pay.
Yeah.
You're now being penalized for allowing this to happen, and now you're going on the tax arrears list, and it's not cheap.
No.
So I just say, like, and the land use bylaw, the same thing. It's got tags in it.
Yeah.
Right. So
Just to kind of follow the question, I guess, can we not put it onto like a trial program, like try the tag program for 6 months if it looks
I
like
can
it,
always revisit
yeah,
the bylaw.
if it looks like it works, it works.
You know what? I'm just gonna say this. We will never give out a tag. It'll never get to that point. This is just a what if you get to that point. You don't have anything in between here and here, right?
Yeah.
So 9 times out of 10, you're gonna give them a letter. They're gonna clean it up. The 1% time that we're gonna go in and clean it up and bill them for it. That's what's gonna happen.
Also, as a point of information, 2 things. The penalty portion was written in consultation with Chris Perman, and he's the one who gave me this section, and I personalized it to standard. So the violation tags and tickets did come through consultation, which doesn't mean it has to stay. I'm not like promoting it beyond my own purview, but that's where it came from. It's not like I drew it up out of thin air. The second point is Chris did explain once some time ago when we were talking about the traffic bylaw that if it goes to court, the person who makes the complaint has to be there or it doesn't have standing.
Yes.
So the anonymity complaining system is gone if it goes to court.
That's just, you have the right to efface your accuser, and tags, you don't have that right. Right? Like, this is what I'm getting. We're undermining the fundamentals of democracy here, and the separation between administration and enforcement, because we're billing them a fair amount, and I want to offload this, right? So if we've had our own staff or hired contractors, those billing amounts, then we can fix it.
Well, I brought this fact up a year ago. If instead of us going in and cleaning up a yard, so I know other places are hiring Dustin Wolf to come in.
Oh yeah,
because he has a Bobcat
yeah,
with one of those.
grapple.
No, it's like a big mower on the front of it.
Oh,
He can
okay.
go in and it's a bush cutter.
Oh yeah.
his hourly cost is a lot more than what the village bills.
Yeah,
It's only gonna happen once when they get his bill.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know if that's.
well, and then we fix the problem. And
Okay.
and I think the deterrent is in the price of the fix.
So can you,
So may I ask a question of clarification?
sure,
The only concern is these 3 fees. Is that what the clarification is? If this violation tag was just paying back the village for administration of enforcement, people power, and anything else that was required, that tag alone would be fine. It is just the cost of giving them the deterrent tag.
so can you scroll, yeah, that's, I agree with Mike, I get the tag thing, but I'm not in favor of the tag.
So these fees would still come in the form of a tag.
Okay,
But
yes.
we're actually completing work.
And I have no problem with that, but what I was gonna suggest, and I don't know if we can do it. So why do we have a per hour fee? There should be a minimum.
If
Like
village,
if our guys have to go and they have to load up weed whackers and mowers and drive down there and clean that up. It should be a minimum 4 hours,
which,
right?
so that would be more than 250.
It's a thought because of the fact that it is more of a deterrent. If you know you're going to be billed for 4 hours minimum, you're gonna clean it up yourself, right? Because if somebody's gonna come and tell me, clean up your yard, and my yard has weeds this tall, and I think it's gonna take you an hour, I'm gonna give you $150 to come and do it. We've got a guy that's doing it.
Well, if
He
we
leaves us
take,
to mow his lawn because he doesn't live here
Well,
anymore.
from my perspective, like if that's the case, if that's costing us less than we're billing, right? And so that from one perspective, we're short on cash. That's not a problem if we're actually making money doing actual labors.
No,
Right.
and but I'd like to see more of a deterrent to take our guys away from having to go do somebody's lawn and go just do their physical job.
I agree, but I think the deterrents are you may end up in court and or you're gonna pay and we're gonna get the problem fixed. But I think the deterrent of a tag that ends up on taxes, for me personally, it's just, I don't think it solves problems, I think it creates problems.
so
Just hold on. Adam had his hand up.
Okay, so just in summary, like the concern is if I put it like it's the separation between different branches of government, like there needs to be a judicial system where it's a separate body that people can complain to. Okay, but I guess the thing is in the semantics of this, just as a question, down below on that page, it says bylaw violation tags. In the wording of our bylaw, scroll up. Not that high up, just on the same page.
oh,
Just on the same page with that schedule right there where it says applicable fees. That table right there, is it worded that those are tags in our bylaw and not a fee?
Not there, no, it's a fee.
there's in the beginning of the bylaw, it says that applicable fees. Bylaw services empowered by this bylaw to issue and collect penalties in accordance with Schedule 1 applicable fees.
Okay, so what we have.
And then the tag is specifically mentioned here, and the violation ticket is specifically mentioned in here.
Okay, yeah, so I think I'm reading it right. So what we have, and I think everyone's in concurrence that applicable fees are something that we're all in concurrence with, that a person that's in violation, that's non-compliant, that we have to go in and fix, they have to pay those fees. If they don't pay those fees, it goes onto their taxes.
Mhm.
Are we all in?
Yeah.
We're all in
Do the work
concurrence there.
and it goes, then if
Yeah.
they don't pay for it, then it goes on their taxes.
Okay, yes. It's just the tags and tickets that we're having a discussion on. I just have a different question. Because my concern is we really don't want village staff going onto private properties and cleaning things up, because I'm worried in the case of a cleanup, what happens if something on that property is claimed to be damaged?
But that happens, it happens everywhere where you are given, and if you don't, it is cleaned up. It happens in the city of Calgary. They go in and clean it up, and I wouldn't be against asking somebody if we are responsible if there is damage.
I don't think we are, because we would have to be deemed negligent, is
Okay.
what I'm understanding from the insurance adjuster on this
Okay.
last spiel. If you are negligent, yes, you can be responsible.
Yeah.
But most of the time, village going in to do some cleanup and, I mean, we've been mowing ditches and we've broken somebody's window. We know it's us, we pay for it, right? I mean,
Yeah, okay.
we weren't negligent, right?
Mhm.
But we did pay for the damage.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
just
good.
depends upon what it is, right? But
I guess the other concern is because most of the time I think this would happen in the summer. And when the grass is growing and stuff like that, even if we're profiting and making money by servicing servicing a fee, that's taking hours away from our guys doing the work that
It's
is
supposed to be done.
that they don't have, I don't know, as many of that many hours in the day. And so I want their, how do you put it? Again, like you said, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't go to cleanup, it doesn't go to fees. However, we do have residents, that's the 1 out of 10, and it's every single year.
Well, we have one guy, like you said, he doesn't live here. We just know that we have to go mow the lawn. We do it, he bills it, or we bill him, he pays it.
Yeah.
No big deal. That's, I mean, it's not a deterrent.
Mhm.
At that 150, I'm not driving down here from Peace River to do that.
Yeah.
So
I don't think, yeah, the tags aren't a deterrent, like the tags aren't gonna solve that.
Mm-mm. I don't think so. Anyway, what are we gonna do here? Cause
We've got a good discussion.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
Well, it seems that for this to pass, this box needs to be eliminated. Nobody supports the idea of having a tag for violation of the bylaw, even after final notice of order has been given. If that's how you want to do it, so be it.
So can I just,
Mhm.
so if we take that out.
Yeah.
Can we not change our hourly rate to more?
You can do what you want.
Well, it's per staff. This is
No, it's
per,
per
It does not
hour.
say that.
Per hour. of
It says
fee.
per hour. So if we send,
staff.
we have 2 summer students in James and we send 3 guys over there, 2 lawnmowers and a weed whacker.
no,
Or,
no.
If it takes 2 hours, they're billed $300.
I know, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying,
Okay.
but you go down to the tags, it's $250 just for a tag.
There is a world though too, right, where this guy comes down, like. Are we? Like what if it was like someone who can't cut their lawn, you know what I'm saying, like. I guess I'm just curious, like,
So
how do you apply it in like, is there's other circumstances where we drop off the truck and we help residents out? And I know they're 2 different subjects, right?
if I can't mow my lawn.
Yeah.
And I know the village is gonna charge me $250 to come and mow my lawn an hour, I'm gonna find a kid to do it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if I'd like to go back to the flow chart, is if there's a concern about mowed lawn, we would contact that person first.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't mow your lawn? Do you need help with that? Did you know so-and-so and so-and-so, they have kids that they can mow their lawn? Why don't you let me know in the next week if you found someone? If not, maybe we can help you further. That all happens prior to enforcement.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it's about, someone's up in Peace River, can't mow his yard. Okay, due diligence, find someone who can mow your yard, call the village office, we'll help you out.
We're putting hours on our machines every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing that, right?
Right, so
Anyway.
that's the bylaw is not about being a homeowners association. The bylaw is about protecting the property values of the community and protecting the people in the community. That's what it's not about protecting their personal preference for how something looks.
I agree, and my argument is that the tags don't
So
facilitate that function.
If this is eliminated,
Mhm.
okay, so now remember, the fees and everything as an invoice and such, it would still be, we have a fees to require service, fees to enlist, if we have to get the police involved, if all these kinds of things, right? So this fee structure still applies. It will still be written up as a tag. not, it
Yeah.
won't, this box will be gone.
Yeah.
We're still gonna call it violation tag because that's the enforcement power in the bylaw.
Well, it's in the bylaw as fees, as appropriate.
Penalties issued in accordance with Schedule 1 violation tax.
Yeah.
So I can put it Schedule 1 applicable fees. But it would come, that's where it would be enforced, okay? So I can change the name. I can get rid of this box if that's what you want to do. I'm Liz Hearing, keeping this box
Yeah.
Of course.
tickets.
Well, okay, go back down though. Now you got a violation. A failure to comply with the bylaw violation tag. So it hits a few different spots here where we have to change some stuff. Can't
Well,
just leave it
maybe what
there.
I would do is change this to, I can change this to a violation tag. So then it fits
So it's like,
the penalty section that is.
Well, why do you want to
violation tag.
call it violation tag?
Because if I change name and remove the whole section, I basically have to redo the whole bylaw. Because it's all intertwined for enforcement. So you're asking me to remove a power of enforcement that has a series of events that occur before enforcement. And then a follow-up, the violation ticket after enforcement. So you're asking me to take away the municipal power of enforcement from a bylaw that has it in there. So it's just a lot more work. If it's just this tag, because there's no work associated with these tags.
those are just fine.
These feel punitive, and you want to get rid of the punitive. But these,
Well, we
don't.
shouldn't be involved in punitive. I mean, I know we are.
right, so you want to get rid of this box. These are the punitive ones. These all have a work related to them. So as an edit, it's simpler to say violation tags here and edit it once up there instead of editing the whole penalty section.
I'm
That's
good with that
fine.
if you take that.
And the
box
thing
out,
is, yeah,
because if you take that box out, you use your billing for work, basically goes on violation tag. Right, and that would be the whole bylaw would state
Right.
that. So it's really, you're just changing wording. You're just not saying we're going to bill you. We're giving you a violation tag for the work we did.
Right, you're in violation of this bylaw. You
Yeah.
received letters, received notice of order, received a final notice of order. We've, with the intent to come on, which is sectioned out in here, that their intent to come on and if necessary, remedy it. It's now been remedied, sorry, and here is what you owe us. It is in this tag. If you don't pay for it, it goes in your property value.
Just so she
Because
doesn't
by-
have to redo the whole bylaw.
And by definition, that's what a tag is. It's issued pursuant to the Municipal Government Act. Like it's not just a made up word. There's a whole
Yeah, and then
purpose to that word.
just go through our definitions. There isn't a definition of applicable fees.
No.
And so essentially, by using the word tag, we're using something that's resonating with the Municipal Government Act. And we're also, it's essentially what I have to do is change my definition in my head for the word tag, meaning it's a free structure compliance, meaning this is the work that we had to do to bring this property into compliance. This is the tag that's associated with the fees that we covered so that we can recoup those fees. That cost. It's not this is a tag/ticket. This is a work fee that you just had to pay.
And it's not like a
I have to change
collaborative,
my definition of tag in my brain.
it's not a collaborative invoice. You didn't ask us to do this work and we did it and here's our fee for it. It's not. This is because you're in violation of a bylaw.
Yeah.
And there's been a series of steps that have brought us to this point.
I'm good with leaving it, that you're doing that, but removing that box.
Yeah. I'm in favor of, okay, what I put it is I'm in favor of a violation tag being used to recoup costs according to a fee schedule for us doing work on the lot to be able to get it in compliance. I'm not in favor of using a violation tag as a fine fee that doesn't have work attached to it that we haven't done.
I feel very similar. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't want to go around beating people with fine sticks.
Yeah.
Like that's not what we're here to do. We're here to manage. And if it gets to there, then there's tickets.
Yeah.
And we get bylaw officers and that's what police are for, bylaw officers and the courts.
Mhm.
And then because if it is actually something that real,
Mhm.
then maybe one of us has to go into Calgary and say, no, this is why.
We go to
Because-
court.
But that person has a right to face their accuser.
So let's just take that, I'm just gonna suggest something so we can keep moving forward.
Sure,
So get rid of that box.
yes. Oh, I can't do it live. You want me to do
No,
it live?
no, I want you to just make notes.
Yeah,
So
I
we're
did.
gonna-
I made a note. Get rid
So
of the
get rid of that
violation tab
box.
box. Yeah,
Get rid of applicable fees,
yeah,
change that to
violation tags.
violation tag,
Mhm.
and in your go back up to your definitions
The definitions.
of tag.
Mhm.
Can you change a ticket issued? Can you change ticket? That word ticket, it's not a ticket anymore.
Yeah.
No,
Like-
violation
like-
ticket is the bylaw.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I know that it says violation ticket, but can we add something in the next part stating exactly what it is, like in brackets?
That it's from bylaw.
Actually, you
enforcement.
don't have to, because it's.
It's in the
stated
provincial offenses
in
procedure.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
can I mention just one other thing I think that would be good for clarification for this bylaw?
Fast.
Sorry, like in the application fees, like,
Vertigo, that's the word.
can we scroll down to that fee, the fee structure one again? Because I think there was just one thing of clarification that I think would be good for both our residents and for our staff. Just scroll up a little bit. There, it says each applicable fee with the sum will be summed together instead of with, but for a total fee to be invoiced to the resident or owner of the property that is in a breach of the bylaw. All fees are to be paid to the village of standard. Fees left unpaid will be added to the property taxes. Good. But where it says per hour fee that the village staff and equipment are in use for the remediation of property, order, I think it needs to be clarified there that that includes the moment of mobilization, meaning as soon as they're at the shop, putting, let's say, a lawnmower or weed whackers from the shop onto the cart, as soon as our staff are mobilized at that point, that's when the hourly rate starts.
And
And until it's put back, that's when the hourly rate ends.
Yeah.
Is that in compliance with business though? Like, does business charge more?
Yes, they do.
Depends on the thing, like, so a lot of businesses no, but a lot of businesses, yes. So drilling rigs, service rigs,
Yeah,
yes. Other
Okay.
services, no, because it's competitive and you can't charge travel.
okay.
So it just depends.
The way I look at it is this, is that for every hour that our, for the moments that one resident is required to have us do the work for them to be in compliance, that's every moment, that's where they've taken essentially that worker from servicing the community.
I agree 100%. And so like in my business, and I think others around town, you don't bill in town, right? For travel. And so like when this is gonna happen, like if it's just like the one house, for example.
Yeah,
They're mowing, they go up there, they ring around, right? They're in and out in 20 minutes and you
Done.
bill them an hour,
that's fine.
right?
I'm thinking of the arduous ones, like where
Oh,
you're spending an hour getting all this stuff onto a flatbed. Or onto your stuff. You mobilize it, you get it there, you clean everything up. Then you have to take the equipment back. You have to clean it up and stuff like that. And like, let's say it's several hours.
go to the box because I think all we can add,
Oops, sorry, wrong one.
yeah,
And it's,
includes mobilization. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what we're talking about. Right?
yeah,
So
the first one.
This one here.
And
Yeah.
that fee there should be per
well, you just, if you want it, you can.
per staff.
you can put- Well, then I think that you.
Yeah.
Per man hour.
Because you're using the equipment and the staff, so think about it.
Yeah.
If my tractor is in there and my staff is in there, that's $150 right there for an hour.
Yeah.
Minimum.
yeah.
If you could say per man hour, then if you had 2 people and 2 machines,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because like again,
Cause they
How
could
many-
go in and do the job in like 1 hour, but we have 3, that's what they do a lot of times. They'll have 3 pieces of equipment in there, like 2 kids on a
Okay.
weed whacker
mhm.
and the other one on the mower. It's usually.
Oh, I see. So it might not take an hour because you have 3 people working. it.
That's
Yes.
right.
But it's
But-
costing you more because you have
You've got
more
more equipment.
wages.
So-
and
so
more
maybe
equipment.
If we say per manpower, is
Per
that,
an hour, and that might be
or
just.
per
how
man
we-
hour,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that something I have
I
to
think
put
that-
in the definitions as well, what it means?
What's that?
Man hour, or is that a
No,
regular?
that's industrial.
It's a
It's
pretty
industrial.
industrial.
Yeah.
So you could say that their per hour fee that the village per village staff or something like that. Oh, yeah, you should just
Well,
put
per man hour.
That's a common
Yeah.
definition, you're right. But I
Okay,
think that
and
means you don't have to
includes,
worry about
including
mobilization anymore.
mobilization.
No, because it's gonna be,
Once you have more than one man hour, because like, let's put it this way, as soon as you have 3 village staff going onto a property and it's a minimum of a 1 hour charge, if you have 3 people going, right now it's went from 150 to 300 to $450 for an hour.
Yeah, and so it's still, like, it has to be,
Now it'll be a deterrent.
it has to be used judiciously. I think it
Yeah.
meets your requirement as a deterrent.
that's right. I mean,
If we have to hire somebody, well, not necessarily, Dustin, but if you were to hire any other company that's gonna come out of Strathmore, it's probably gonna cost you
Well,
that much.
if you need, my mom always gets a landscaping company,
Mhm.
and they are awesome, and they bring whatever crew they need,
Mhm,
and they're not a bad cost.
mhm.
Then you wouldn't even have to do it, and that fee structure would probably.
Yeah, there's
it's
a,
gonna go up.
there's an administration
right?
fee.
You know what?
So that, in that particular case, you go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the 5th box down. There's a fee for us having to acquire and reserve the service because you didn't do it. If you did it on your own, you wouldn't have been in this enforcement situation.
Yeah,
But since you didn't, and we had to call some landscaping company who brought people out, there's a $150 fee for our time to reserve and arrange and coordinate and to make sure they showed up.
that's fine.
And then whatever this company charges.
Pass through the bill.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
So does that settle this then?
I think it will. I mean, you're gonna have to do changes and bring it back
Yes.
next month.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I like it. I think
So-
we had a good discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think
Okay.
I will move to table this till next meeting.
Okay.
What, waiting for, yeah, amendments to it. All in favor? Carried. Community standard bylaw. Somebody want to move to table that till the next meeting?
What is that?
Well, this just has
Community
a
standards
definition,
by
right?
standard bylaw.
What's,
Community
It's just an
standards,
idea.
yeah, it's a bylaw that we're looking at doing to, enforce,
All the little things like noise and litter and everything.
yeah,
The other communities, instead of having a noise bylaw, a litter bylaw, and blah, 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 they have a community standard bylaw.
Okay.
So we just wanted to let you know we were doing that.
okay,
Someone want to make that motion?
table it till
Yeah.
next meeting? I move that we table the community standard bylaw till next meeting.
All in favor? Carried. Policy submitted, move to adopt and rescind presented policies.
Yeah.
Everybody read them over their
Mhm.
and
month.
you have your new package
Yep.
that's given out today, so take that home with you, please. 11.1C.
Yes, sure, I know what I'm looking at.
Take it on.
There we go.
Mhm.
Take it home, read it, look.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's not as,
somebody want to move to adopt and rescind last month's.
I'll make a motion to adopt and rescind the presented policies.
All in favor? Carried. Solar proposal.
This was just to inform you that we got the new proposal. I think there's a copy of the dollar and cents page on there. And this proposal is different from April because in April, he had 2 sites, the on top of the arena and the ground site. This proposal puts all of the potential solar panels on one site. And I just wrote down the difference in fees. Oh, here. So the original proposal, it was 125,000 and change for the ground mount, plus 107,000 for the roof mount. Putting them together, obviously, the total combined is much less, 185, and changes that first box on the top of the page there. There was concerns about the full proposal has talks about where they get their materials from. The warranty's on here. And then the last thing is there was questions about Sterling and how are things working out for Sterling. So I talked with Mr. Scott, who is the CAO and has been there since the inception of their plan. So questions particularly that were from the meeting: how are the panels? What's the maintenance like? Are you paid for yet? Are you hitting your targets? And those were the main questions that came from meetings. So the panels are all good. They're getting really good yield. The solar panels, the maintenance is paid for by a lease with NMAX. They started out on an NMAX grant that left them hanging when NMAX canceled the program halfway through. And then they signed on with TerraAlta to finish it. So the maintenance is still done by NMAX. However, he said that, don't bother with snow removal or dusting them because the system is designed to not require it. So it would end up costing more in maintenance that's not necessary. The design for peak sun, and so maintenance is altogether very low. He says it's not worth worrying about that sort of thing.
And they
He
still get
said
good yields.
they get excellent yields. He said that they get enough to pay the electricity bill for every system that's hooked up to, and they also have a pool. It covers that, and then they have a little extra. They have not paid off their system yet, but that's just because of the original deal with NMAX. And so they're on a leasing payment plan as opposed to paying for it.
Sort of like the lease to own.
Yeah, so that's what they're still in.
Okay.
Normal maintenance inverters, they're older models, fuses upgraded to breakers. There's been no problems. NMAX design was flawed. TerraAlta fixed it and it's better. Bird spikes they had to put in bird spikes this year. They're being installed this year on top of some of their buildings to keep the birds off of them. It's a 15-year lease with NMAX. They were the first community on the board. They're really happy. The system design it considers all 4 seasons. So let's see. System is 100% producing as promised. All facilities, the lease, and a portion of the streetlights. That's what they're paying for out of their system. The ground mount is tied to their lift station. The lift station is tied to the metered irrigation. All village powers are aggregated to other buildings. Initially the province took their carbon credit. So he said, make sure what you sign, they don't do that. They're using their solar power to preheat their pool as well. And it doesn't get it super warm, but it makes it a lot easier on the rest to heat it up. And these are water numbers. So there's my report.
Aren't they doing their own utilities?
Yeah, they do. They run their own utility company so that when they charge the market rate for power, they're earning the market rate for power.
Okay. So you want to move to adopt that as information?
I'll make a motion to adopt his information.
Counselor concerns, Richard.
Nope, nothing at this point.
Just a curiosity, going through the town, like in the village with all the rain and stuff like that, just a comment, what we did do on first right here for this resident.
That's second.
Oh, that's second,
Glorious.
on second, seems to have worked really well.
Oh, yes,
There was no,
ditch remediation.
Yeah,
the ditch remediation is good.
Yeah. Grass
Just
is coming back.
just one concern or comment on that same one on the other side. They put in like a grate on the top. I still think it's the wrong grate that they were supposed to have put there because it's got a curb entry to it and that's facing the road. And I know we don't have a curb there. Like I'm wondering why it's not just a flat
I'm looking
grate.
into that. Yes.
Okay,
I'll have an answer for you at the next
because
meeting.
that one, I don't know, I can see it problematic, like being on that ditch way just as something that's, gonna
Catch a mower blade or something?
that can catch a mower blade,
Yes.
get caught, get hidden into tall grass, and then you hit that big cast iron metal thing and really damage something.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is just a thought, like with one of our counselors that's not here with us, might be nice to just pull something together as colleagues of Counselor Casey and maybe just send them flowers or something like that, just to say, hey, we're thinking of you.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying on village budget. No, that would be something that I'm just thinking of this thought of like individually, maybe us doing something and just sending it as a staff and council.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Mhm.
Sounds like you're heading that up,
That's initiative.
right? That's what I thought. That's what
Okay.
I thought too.
Okay,
You let
sure,
us know.
I think so. I think, like, and again, I don't think this is something that would be used for like taxpayers' money. I don't want that to come
Just
into
prepare
there.
yourself when you go to the floor shop.
There
You're
might-
going to fall over.
Oh, no, I
Might
know
have
the
something on
costs are-
on the obituary site about how to donate or whatever too,
Maybe
right?
we can
So,
do that and I can get that in email out to council and just,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
we
Just
just,
do it individually or whatever.
or
Yeah,
do a lump sum,
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
that's
You
hard.
good with that? Absolutely. Okay,
Okay.
let us know.
Okay.
Is that it?
Oh, one last thing. We might need to, like, with all the wind and stuff like that, one of our, like, what is it, commercial business properties that was on the
You
road?
took mine.
yeah,
You took mine.
Okay.
it's on the list.
I'm
Yeah,
just kidding, just to remind them and say, hey, your
Yes.
Fence is down
your
again?
fence is down and, please put it back up because
Yeah.
it keeps your property looking nice.
I have nothing. Mike,
No,
I have nothing either.
Oh, man.
Way to
Not for
go,
me now.
Peter.
I'm the big complainer. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There was a concern from last meeting, it was Larry Casey's about the boulevard, who is responsible. We are still investigating that because it needs to actually be in a bylaw somewhere, so we've been looking through that.
Mhm.
Who's responsible for the boulevard,
Or all the boulevards in town?
pretty much.
Okay.
like you mean like the ditches? And between the sidewalk and the curb?
Yeah, it's a big can of worms.
Well, because
That has been, it is,
What is the bylaw you found that?
The snow removal for in the 24 hours that we hold to,
oh, the snow removal. I was
Yeah.
thinking
Oh,
grass
yeah.
cutting.
Do you know what year that was done?
1927.
You know what? I was gonna say 1927.
The snow removal started in 27?
Yep,
it hasn't been updated since then.
no, it's in
All
our
right.
policy now, but like, that's how it's
That's the original
enforced in a
bylaw.
policy.
Okay,
but that's
well, I
the
think we
original
need to look at it down.
Yes,
It's-
we are.
Get the important one, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Just,
moving on.
okay,
13.0 closed session, you're gonna have to shut off.
yeah.
Okay, well, let's have the motion first
Okay.
and then I'll turn it off.
I move that we go into closed session.
Under FOIP, it's on your agenda.
Sorry. I move to closed session under FOIP Division 2, exception to discuss
Disclosure.
disclosure, section 27, privileged information.
Okay.
So can we stop for a second
Yes.
before you go offline? We should have made a motion before it's 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So I will make a motion that we go past 10 o'clock.
Motion passed.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I didn't see it was. 10
So you
o'clock
need to
already.
carry that.
Yeah, all in favor. Carried.
Okay, and now Adam's
Yes.
motion
I
is,
move my motion as previously stated.
All in favor. Carried,
okay, so
hands down.
You-
audio was on. So,
Okay.
All we
returning,
have less to do is adjourn the meeting. Fine, I'll do it.
Martin.
Meeting adjourned. Thank
Any
you.
discussion on that?
Nope, no more discussion.
Are you sure?
All right.
That was a good meeting.
Yeah.